Join U.S. Vets on their mission to end veteran homelessness. Make Camel your cause to honor U.S. Vets this Veterans Day. Shop Camel, work Camel, share Camel.
Go to honor.usvets.org/fox-forward.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
It's Thursday at 4:25. Dakota Wood from the Heritage Foundation.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Freedom isn't just a word. It should be a way of life for all Missourians. Wouldn't it be wonderful to live in a state where you're free from excessive taxes, regulations, and corporate handouts, and free to send your children to the school of your choice? That's why we at the Show Me Institute put together our 2023 Missouri Blueprint, a roadmap on how the state can progress to a bright future. The blueprint covers policy ideas from taxes to government transparency, from education to health care, and more. Our vision is for Missouri to be a place where entrepreneurs can pursue their dreams. Parents are free to direct the education of their children, and a growing economy provides opportunities for all. Critical to achieving this vision is a government that understands the value of freedom in the lives and future of our people. Check out our 2023 Missouri Blueprint, moving Missouri forward at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
The Vic Porcelli Show. Here's the host of Wheel of Audio Clips, Vic Porcelli.
Thank you, Jim Ogden, very much. Thank you, everybody. Thanks to our studio audience for coming. I get sick of myself. I swear to God. I can only imagine somebody who listens to the show. I'm just sick of myself. Somebody had a song called Sick of Myself.
I touch myself? You talking about that one?
Only at night, Ken. Oh, you talking about song? That was the Divinyls. Sorry. I thought you get into my personal life.
Vic Porcelli, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next trip into the great outdoors. For decades, Bluff City Outdoors has covered all the needs for area fishermen, and they'll always have all the best bait, tackle, and gear for your next trip on the water. And now they cover all your bow hunting needs, including their state-of-the-art indoor archery range and techno hunt system, open every day for you to come shoot, or you can join a league. Follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and learn more at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Like any good conservative, we have our principles and our values.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world,
I don't even know how conservatives can even take their head out of the ground long enough to complain about anything.
They're trying to call us conservatives Nazis.
I think they ought to be ashamed.
It's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
All we want is freedom and liberties and less government.
I'm not a Democrat or Republican. I'm an American.
Welcome home.
Because everyone gets a voice.
This is News Talk STL.
News and information.
Welcome home.
Inflicted on the family. His wife says he once stuffed a towel in their baby's mouth. His adult daughter claimed to be confined to her bedroom. Argote didn't show up for the hearing, claiming he had a headache. That night, he allegedly showed up at Wilkinson's home in Hagerstown and gunned him down in the driveway. The local sheriff says Argote's remains will be sent to Baltimore for an autopsy to determine the cause, manner, and time of death. There's more on this story at foxnews.com. Subscribe to the Fox True Crime Podcast with Emily Campagno. I'm Gianna Gelosi with your Fox True Crime Minute.
Now, from the historical audio archives of Fox News Talk.
On March 5th, 1946, Sir Winston Churchill gave his famous Iron Curtain speech at Westminster College in Missouri. The speech was deemed by many to mark the onset of the Cold War.
From Stettin in the Baltic to Trieste in the Adriatic, an Iron Curtain has descended across the continent. Behind that line lie all the capitals of the ancient states of Central and Eastern Europe. All these famous cities and the populations around them lie in what I must call the Soviet sphere. And all are subject, in one form or another, not only to Soviet influence, but to a very high and in some cases increasing measure of control from Moscow. This is certainly not the liberated Europe we fought to build up.
Stay tuned to hear more history as it unfolds before your ears. It's the audio archives of Fox News Talk.
This is House Call for Health. The Food and Drug Administration is warning families about certain pureed fruit pouches for young children. The FDA says they examined multiple samples of the Wanabana apple cinnamon fruit puree pouches and found extremely high concentrations of lead. The agency adds 4 children in North Carolina were found to have high blood lead levels, with the puree products believed to be the source. The FDA advises children who were fed the puree pouches should get blood tests for potential lead poisoning. Children who are exposed to lead might not have any immediate symptoms, but some children may exhibit abdominal pain and colic, headache, vomiting, or anemia. The fruit puree pouches were sold at multiple retailers, including Dollar Tree, Sam's Club, and Amazon. Wanabana has issued a recall with the FDA advising families to not buy or feed the puree products to children. For more health news, go to foxnewshealth.com. House Call for Health. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
This is Fox News Talk.
Headline Rewind.
1981. President Jimmy Carter.
We have now reached an agreement with Iran which will result in the freedom of our American hostages.
I, Ronald Reagan, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
As of now, I am in control here in the White House, pending return of the Vice President.
I have been in labor negotiations for 25 years. The only people that ever win from a strike are the lawyers.
Charles Philip Arthur George, wilt thou have this woman to thy wedded wife, so long as you both shall live?
I will.
MTV is just videos with music.
As a judge, it is not my function to continue to try to develop public policy by means of making the law.
News as it happened then, news as it happens now.
This is Fox News Talk. Sunday, it's a huge day of football on Fox. And it all kicks off with a special Veterans Day pregame show, live from the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. Then, the action begins as Christian McCaffrey and the Niners take on the Jaguars. Touchdown! And in America's Game of the Week, NFC East rivals collide as Dak leads the Cowboys against the Giants. Wow! It all begins Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern on Fox with the pregame special. Check for the game in your area.
On the next Larry Connors USA.
Tonight, only 1 hour of Larry Connors USA, so you can hear the debate. So just 1 hour. And you do not want to miss it.
Larry Connors USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Chris Arps, and I'm a customer of Royal Banks of Missouri, which is a full-service, locally owned and operated community bank with 17 locations from St. Louis to St. Charles and Granite City to Hannibal. Royal Banks offers a full range of financial services, covering all of your personal and business banking needs, as well as access to over 200 ATM locations. And given today's new headlines in the banking industry, it is reassuring to know Royal Banks of Missouri has the highest financial ratings in St. Louis for stability and strength. Royal Banks of Missouri, the community bank that's in your community. Visit them on the web at royalbanksofmo.com.
Hi, it's Todd Showalter from The Right Mind Show. Don't let going to the office become a grind unless it's a gourmet grind from discountcoffee.com. Enjoy coffee house blends that can't be found in stores. And don't be fooled by coffee services that lock you into paying more over time. Discountcoffee.com has the very same coffee brands and supplies for less shipped directly to your door. Plus, save 15% off your order with the promo code RightMind. That's discountcoffee.com.
The O'Reilly Update, brought to you by Seavers Equipment Company with 8 area locations. Visit them at seaversequipment.com.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first.
Every morning, the president wakes up to a top-secret brief on America's biggest challenges. Ever wished you were in the room? Of course you have. I'm Mike Baker, former CIA ops officer, and I'm here to give you the next best thing. Welcome to the President's Daily Brief podcast. Every weekday, I break down the day's most pressing issues in just 20 minutes. Get briefed. Stay ahead. Subscribe now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.
On this Thursday, violent protesters generally got away with looting and other criminal acts after the death of George Floyd. Even the anarchists inside Antifa were not held to account as they assaulted police and destroyed property. In addition, Americans saw radical organizations like Black Lives Matter achieve power and big money by embracing violence. Younger people in particular got the message. So it is that progressive radicals have transferred their anger from white society to the state of Israel. Oppression is oppression, right? Blacks in America, Palestinians in Gaza. The solution, blow up the status quo. That's what these pro-Hamas demonstrations on campuses are all about. Fighting the power. Jews are powerful. They must be confronted, even using violence. Well, that is beyond stupid, of course. But so is burning down a bodega in the name of justice. There are supposed to be educators to guide and inform the naive and the stupid who inhabit the universities, and there are plenty of them. But it takes courage to confront these people in the age of cancellation. And without courageous opposition, the crazed mob will do grave damage. Back after this. If you thought booking your timeshare was difficult before, you know it's almost impossible now. For more than a decade, Lone Star Transfer has helped thousands of owners legally and permanently get out of their never-ending timeshare fees. Lone Star Transfer guarantees the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and in a specific time frame. For free, no-obligation consultation, please call 855-551-7066 or go to LoneStarTransfer.com. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Fall is back in the driver's seat this morning. After climbing into the 80s yesterday afternoon, high temperatures will be about 25 degrees cooler today. We're going to start with some sunshine, but clouds will gradually increase through the day. I'm forecasting a high of about 59 degrees. Mostly cloudy this evening, a shower possible, but that is well to the south of St. Louis. Our low tonight at 42. Friday, sunny, highs in the low 60s, and not much change through the weekend. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
The latest news.
Mike Johnson is someone who can unify the conference.
We're going to get to work in a very serious way.
A resolution censuring Representative Rashida Tlaib for anti-Semitic activity.
The news you need to know.
We cannot give up on peace.
Another morning marked by death and destruction in Gaza City.
The terrorists will not win.
And the place to talk about it.
It's the topics that matter to me.
Right here. 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Having your first cup of coffee? Mike's on his third. This is Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
This happened yesterday in the House of Representatives.
On this vote, the yeas are 234 and the nays are 188, with 4 answering present. The resolution is adopted.
Joined now by RedState.com's Susie Moore, and that resolution was to censure Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, and this was the second attempt. The first one didn't make it. This one went through. What put her over the edge to kind of get that rebuke from the House of Representatives?
Well, good morning. I think what got her over the edge was her promoting the video last Friday that included From the River to the Sea in it. And not in any way owning that other than saying, oh, no, that's an aspirational thing.
Which makes it even worse, kind of.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm going to insult you. I'm going to say something horrible, and then I'm going to insult your intelligence by pretending like it doesn't mean what it absolutely means.
Good morning, Susie. Gabe here. I think we've all kind of been having fun with Cori Bush's unhinged rant,
and we're going to do it again in a couple minutes.
We're going to do it again. Yeah. But this is standard for her, right? What effect do you think that has on anybody? Are the Democrats shaking their heads at this? Are they cheering her on? And is there anything to be made of that outside of the fun that we're having with it?
Yeah. I was going to say the effect it has on people that are critics of her is to make them laugh. But, people that are in lockstep with her and support her are going to just think it's great and not acknowledge the silliness of it. Where it might have an impact is because she is facing a credible challenger next year in Wesley Bell. People who are in her district who are not particularly fond of her to begin with and are open to another option are going to be more likely to go with the sane, competent option over her.
Well, yeah, let me jump in on that because that's a great point because I know that not all, even hard leftists, are going to cheer on this kind of incendiary, just wild, crank, weirdo stuff that she's saying. But the Democrats don't lose a left-wing vote if they bring in Wesley Bell. They get basically the same votes. They just have less embarrassment. What's your sense of how well that strategy might be resonating with voters?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, it's early. He only made the announcement a little over a week ago. And obviously, I'm not sitting there having in-depth, discussions or polling people that are voting in that district. But I will say this. Wesley Bell was present at the St. Louis or STL for Israel rally on Sunday. The crowd there, when Cori Bush's name was brought up, was not happy with her and expressed that very clearly. And I think that they will have taken notice of it. And so there are a fair amount of Jewish constituents. There are a fair amount of more moderate Democrats that vote in the first congressional district, who I think are going to more and more find themselves leaning towards Wesley Bell. It won't surprise me at all if he is successful in the primary, because is exactly what you said, Mike. It's not like the people that normally vote Democrat are losing a Democratic vote by doing that. They're just voting for somebody who's probably going to represent their interests quite a bit better.
Susie, what do you make of this off-year election results that we're seeing coming around the country? I mean, we had I think a problematic flip of an entire legislature under Youngkin, and the rise of that abortion rights amendment in Ohio. Lots of things kind of not going so good for us, it looks like.
Yeah, I think it's a function of a couple of things. In Virginia, the Democrats already had the Senate. They just held on to it, but they did flip the House, which is unfortunate considering the fact that Glenn Youngkin was doing yeoman's work, getting out there and trying to get Republicans engaged and making sure they were voting early and taking advantage of the voting process. I think I think it's two different things going on. There's a money issue. The Democrats outraised the Republicans in all but one of the races last night. I think Mississippi was the only one where the Republicans were on top money-wise. But I also think that the abortion issue should not be overlooked. Ever since Dobbs came down last year, that has been the one primary issue that the Democrats have won on and have won the messaging battle. And it's because every Republican candidate that is asked to speak on the issue seems to trip up like they're Todd Aiken. It's clearly an important issue. You can't ignore it, but you need to be clear about where you stand on it and what you think the government's role in it, it should be, what you think the legal parameters should be, and you need to be able to speak to it clearly and firmly and not stumble over yourself, which Republicans seem to do on a regular basis. And all that does is give Democrats more ammo.
Exit survey after exit survey says that about half of the people make that a deciding issue vote. It's one thing to feel passionately about it, but if you are even in disagreement with somebody but competent in other areas, there are some voters you may still win over if they disagree with you on that particular issue. But there is a significant amount to say that's a litmus test. One way or the other, I'm not going to vote for or against you, depending on what you think about the issue of abortion. And around the country, I completely agree that what the messaging they're trying to say is if you're pro-life, you're going to lose. And I don't think that's the case. However, when you look at some red states, I mean, I think the vote in Ohio, because that was not a close vote at all. When you look at the vote in Ohio, I think it is a wake-up call to the other states to say, I want pro-life laws. I like the fact that Missouri is pro-life, but we'd better be ready to defend them competently to the voters who matter. But that means don't be a single issue candidate, but we can't compromise our principles, but we need to be really good at defending them. And people, I think, are willing to hear us out. Well, some, not all, are willing to hear us out. But don't think for a minute that in a red state that you couldn't take some losses over this issue if you do it wrong.
So there's two aspects to that too here in Missouri. I mean, we've got to get the initiative petition reform done, so that you don't have, wonky and willy-nilly measures making their way onto the ballot that don't have clear language and end up confusing people and confusing the issue, because that's going to happen if we don't do that. But the other thing too is, it's frustrating because the messaging should be clear. I mean, I think nothing motivates people to vote more than feeling like they are being oppressed or not getting a fair shake. If you feel like you are the underdog and the only way to really overcome that is to express it with your vote, that's going to motivate you to get out and vote. And the Democrats have captured the messaging on abortion by saying, anybody who votes to restrict abortion is trying to hold women down and hold women back and oppress them. And that strikes at the heart of people, and that makes people fearful, and it makes them concerned, and they think, okay, here's how I speak out against that. Well, that's a good messaging on their part, but it's terrible messaging on the part of the Republicans. And I don't know why, after all these years, we fought so hard to get Roe v. Wade overturned, but we're like the proverbial dog that caught the car. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, now what? And we've got to do better at that. It's just ridiculous that we don't have a better messaging strategy on it, because ultimately, when you pull that issue apart and get to the heart of it, it's a winning issue, but you have to be able to express it persuasively.
I've been kind of railing against Republican electoral failures for a while now. Just the fact that we don't really have a ground game. We don't learn the lessons that we should. When people win, we don't basically try to replicate that everywhere around the country, and we just kind of stumble through our elections, hoping that people will be smart enough to understand that we have the right answer. But that makes me look ahead to 2024. We got the debates coming up. We're going to be having our event tonight. What are you expecting from the candidates in terms of what they'll be talking about in terms of electability and their ability to actually get the ground moving? I mean, we've got plenty of policy discussions to be had, but there's also that kind of overarching idea of, can Republicans win?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be the elephant in the room, no pun intended. I mean, but it's on two fronts, because for the candidates who are on stage tonight, they're going to have to be able to persuade people why they are a better choice than Donald Trump, who's far and away the front runner in the polls, and then why they are more likely to be able to beat Joe Biden or whoever the Democrats swoop in to sub in for him. Gavin Newsom. But,
I'm thinking
so. I think they're going to have to speak to that, and not just in platitudes. They're going to have to say, look, here's our strategy. Here's how we win. Here's how we get out and do that. And I don't know. I mean, the people that are going to be watching tonight primarily are going to be persuadable people. They're going to be people who are already inclined to vote Republican. But in terms of choosing amongst the candidates, the person with the strongest message of, here's how I'm going to win the primary, and here's how I'm going to win the general, and this is why it's important, is going to come out on top.
Hey, good morning, Susie. Stal Ponticus here. Quick question for you, because you mentioned Gavin Newsom there as you kind of moved through that comment. Do you have any thoughts about David Axelrod making his thoughts known over the weekend regarding what the Democratic Party should do?
I do. I mean, it's significant. It shouldn't be dismissed, but he's one in a long line of kind of prominent Democrats and pundits who have slowly been coming out and hinting that Joe needs to shuffle off into the sunset. And so far, Joe hasn't taken the hint. I think Axelrod can fairly be seen as a mouthpiece for Obama. But unless and until Obama comes out publicly says, Joe, you got to go. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sure the pressure is mounting behind the scenes, and I don't know who is in Joe's camp that's pushing back so hard other than Dr. Jill. But, I mean, the message is loud and clear. You've got critics coming out from your supporters. And on top of that, now his army of TikTok influencers is turning on him because of his stance on Israel. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he's getting it from all sides, and he's either going to take the hint and finally say, all right, I've had enough, or he's going to stay till the bitter end, and we're just going to watch this circus.
Well, also keep in mind that when Axelrod said that, Matlock was on, and so Joe was busy.
He was just craving that tapioca,
and he was
listening to the record player.
And then it was nap time, so he may not have gotten that message yet. Yeah. All right, Susie doing a lot of great coverage. You want to see her coverage of the Rashida Tlaib censure? Check it out at redstate.com. This obviously isn't going to affect Rashida Tlaib being in Congress. Whether it affects the hard left and gives them a little bit of a sting to not put their crazy on display quite as much remains to be seen. A lot of people, I don't think censures have the same effect that they used to have, Susie, but it is interesting that enough Democrats said, we've had enough. We have to make a statement here. And it was a pretty bold statement.
It was. I mean, keep in mind, there was 22 Democrats that voted to censure her. And so I think that was a clear message from them that they are not pleased with her rhetoric, and she needs to be mindful of that. And it's not shutting her up. It's telling her, look, what she said is unacceptable, and we're not going to stand for it.
I'm going to get things going with that news roundup here in about 2 minutes and 22 seconds right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
Thanks for being my voice in all this.
This is News Talk STL.
There are people out there that feel the way that I feel and say what I say.
Welcome home.
You want to give someone something which they will really enjoy? Give them a Cafe Napoli gift card. You pick the amount, and they pick which of the Cafe Napolis they want to visit. Cafe Napoli in Clayton, Cafe Napoli in Town and Country, Napoli 3 on the streets of St. Charles, or right next door, Napoli C. The Napoli gift card. It's the perfect gift for anyone, or your entire office. Cafe Napoli. Cafe Napoli.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
Classic Kicks Country is streaming now. Hear all your new country favorites from the 90s.
I should have been a cowboy.
Streaming as it happened in the 90s. Classic Kicks.
Let's go, girls.
Download the Classic Kicks app from the App Store. Online at ClassicKicks.com.
I'll go back.
Or enable the Classic Kicks skill on Alexa.
I love this station.
90s New Country streaming now. This news update brought to you by Anton's Plumbing and HVAC. Call Anton's at 314-338-3941 or visit them at antonshvac.com.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
Okay, we don't have a lot of time, so news roundup, speed round edition.
All righty, let's go.
Here we go. All right, third debate's now in the books. I thought it was pretty interesting. We'll talk about that. Could a deal for a pause in the Israel versus Hamas fighting be close? I'll tell you about that as well. 5:55 right now. All right, at the third GOP debate, candidates tackled a range of domestic and foreign policy issues. Greg Clugston has a quick review.
The candidates stood strong with Israel, including Ron DeSantis.
Finish the job once and for all with these butchers, Hamas.
Chris Christie took aim at TikTok, saying it represents a threat from China.
TikTok is not only spyware, it is polluting the minds of American young people.
On abortion, Nikki Haley said it's time to face political reality.
Let's find consensus.
But Tim Scott held firm in his support of a nationwide 15-week abortion ban. Greg Clugston at the GOP debate in Miami.
All right, I've got audio clips from all of the candidates, which we'll get into. Who do you think won or at least improved their campaign momentum? Let's talk about that in just a little bit. A lawsuit to force Missouri taxpayers to fund Planned Parenthood being heard by the state Supreme Court. Planned Parenthood is suing because state lawmakers did not allocate any money for them. The left-wing abortion group says they should at least get funding to reimburse for birth control distribution, STD and STI testing, and other non-abortion procedures.
They get multi-millions of dollars in donations. They
Yep.
don't need pittance from us.
They don't need anything from us. That's about control and telling lawmakers what they have to do.
Yeah.
So we'll see how the state Supreme Court goes, because the state Supreme Court is not exactly in line and in sync with Missourians here. Okay, a U.S. drone's been shot down over international water off the coast of Yemen by the Houthis, which is an Iranian-backed group, and drones are said to be targeted an airbase with U.S. forces in Iraq. Senate Intelligence Committee Chairman Mark Warner, a Democrat from Virginia, was on Your World with Neil Cavuto with his reaction.
We have been worried for some time that Iranian proxies in the region, whether it be the Houthis or whether it be Shia militia groups that receive backing from Iran, may try to go after more of our troops.
And by the way, Iran-backed Hamas and Israel may be close to a deal. We're getting reports to say that there could be a pause in the fighting to allow fuel and other supplies to go into Gaza under the guise of being humanitarian. That would be in exchange for Hamas releasing at least 12 hostages. We'll see whether that happens. All right, real quick here. Don't freak out if you're in Lake St. Louis this morning, okay? No terrorist activity or crime emergency, okay? Lake St. Louis police tell us they're going to do a training exercise at the old Bank of America building on Civic Center Drive. That's going to be from 7:30 to noon. Man's going to look like an action movie scene. Going to be SWAT team activity, crisis negotiation team on site, drones, lots of guns. Going to be really cool, man.
Wish we could be there.
Is your family prepared for the financial burden of losing a loved one?
Are you aware of the cost of a funeral?
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for lifetime permanent final expense insurance coverage with no medical exam required.
Just answer a few health questions, and once accepted, your rates never increase.
Do you have diabetes? High blood pressure?
Have you had a heart attack? A stroke?
No problem.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial can help protect your legacy.
Call or text 314-866-8886. That's 314-866-8886.
To learn more about permanent lifetime final expense insurance coverage.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for immediate coverage by answering just a few health questions.
Call or text 314-866-8886. Or learn more at memorialplans.com. That's memorialplans.com.
Policies underwritten by Senior Life Insurance Company, not available in all states.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
April Haskins, Executive Director, Dogs for Our Brave.
Because they're mobility service dogs, they can go get medication bottles. They can pick up the phone. So essentially, when they are living with a family, the cool part is watching the wife or the husband or the kids go back to just being the family. Because now that dog is able to come in and truly provide services that the family's been tasked with.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Seavers JCB in St. Peters carries a full line of JCB equipment to get the job done safer, faster, and better. The JCB Teleskid can reach higher, further, and deeper than any other skid on the market and can access areas not possible with traditional track loaders. 13 feet 2-inch lift height and 4 feet of forward reach. You can load taller trucks and place material where you need it. Severs JCB St. Peter's, and select Severs Equipment locations in Illinois or at seversjcb.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. At the third GOP presidential debate last night in Miami, entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy blasted former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley's cozy relationship with the military-industrial complex.
That's the choice we face. Do you want a leader from a different generation who's going to put this country first, or do you want Dick Cheney in 3-inch heels?
All right,
in which case, we've got two of them on stage.
Haley defended her choice of footwear.
They're 5-inch heels, and I don't wear them unless you can run in them.
We've got two of you on stage.
The second thing that I will say is I wear heels. They're not for a fashion statement. They're for ammunition.
And when they weren't talking about footwear, the candidates did tackle a range of domestic and foreign policy issues.
The candidates stood strong with Israel, including Ron DeSantis.
Finish the job once and for all with these butchers, Hamas.
Chris Christie took aim at TikTok, saying it represents a threat from China.
TikTok is not only spyware, it is polluting the minds of American young people.
And that report from White House correspondent Greg Clugston. House Republicans have issued subpoenas for President Biden's son and brother, the most aggressive step yet in their impeachment inquiry.
House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer says the panel is bringing in son Hunter Biden and brother James Biden to question them on what he describes as a record of evidence. Republicans maintain it paints a troubling picture of influence peddling. Thus far, however, they've failed to uncover anything directly implicating the president. The White House and the family's lawyers call the investigation a political stunt. Hunter Biden's attorney says the investigation has been full of worn-out, false, baseless, or debunked claims, but he's eager to have the opportunity in a public forum and at the right time to discuss them. Ben Thomas, Washington.
More on these stories at townhall.com.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
I'm Corey, and this is my story. I was going through some financial troubles paying off my credit cards. I was paying high interest rates, and it just wasn't getting any better. And I knew I had to do something. So my mom told me about Trinity, and so I decided to call. Trinity was able to do something that I couldn't. I'm paying off my debt. I'm saving thousands, and things are really looking up. I promise you guys, you will not regret it when you call Trinity, because it was such a relief and less stress in my life, and it was the best thing I could have done for myself, because once I called Trinity, they took care of me, and I felt such a relief, a weight off my shoulders. Trinity was great to work with. They wanted to help me. I love it.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
I'm Corey, and I'm debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Fall is back in the driver's seat this morning. After climbing into the 80s yesterday afternoon, high temperatures will be about 25 degrees cooler today. We're going to start with some sunshine, but clouds will gradually increase through the day. I'm forecasting a high of about 59 degrees. Mostly cloudy this evening, a shower possible, but that is well to the south of St. Louis. Our low tonight at 42. Friday, sunny, highs in the low 60s, and not much change through the weekend. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. The city was booming. Unfortunately, St. Louis city streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline. St. Louis City Republicans believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. Learn more at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican Pat Curtis, Farber Treasurer.
Hi, it's Todd Showalter along with my buddy Joey V from The Right Mind Show. Say hi, Joey.
No thanks.
Join us every Saturday at 5 p.m. when we put the fun in our dysfunctional world. Want to add anything, Joey?
Oh, no thank you.
Plus, exciting guest and King Kirby from DiscountCoffee.com. Take us out, Joey.
Get Jim Modulin to do it.
putting the fun in our dysfunctional world. It's the Right Mind Show with Todd Showalter. Saturday afternoons at 5 on News Talk STL.
Republicans taking heat on all sides, looking like they can't govern.
News, analysis, opinion.
And the 56th Speaker, the Honorable Mike Johnson.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
It's a miracle we're not in prison.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
Are you kidding me?
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. Get up! Get up! This is your
All right, what's the lasting effect of that debate, if there is one? And I don't know that there is one, but if nothing else, man, it was fun last night at the Westport Playhouse.
We had a good time. It was good.
You know what was great, and we'll get to this a little more in a few minutes, Gabe, is that we just said out loud up front, both at the Playhouse and, of course, here on the show, no matter which direction that debate goes, we're going to have fun with it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we did.
And we did. And we did.
Janet got a door prize.
She did?
She did.
Did she do the bingo thing?
She did the bingo thing, and
Nice.
she got it. Yes, she got a little prize from AFP. It was nice.
What was the? What were some of the bingo things that were said? Because what happened is AFP, because we knew that there was possible that this was going to melt down into chaos, like the second debate. Now it didn't.
It didn't. Yeah.
No, but so they actually put bingo cards out, and if somebody says a certain thing, you can mark it. What was like one of the things that she got on her bingo card?
Oh, on the bingo cards. Let's see. I think Zelensky was on there.
Ah, there you go. Yeah,
there was debt, I think, was one of the. I'm not sure which one. You know, all the ones that were in the row that we picked up. But yeah, there was the oil was one of those.
Yep.
I remember seeing that one, and then foreign policy. Just I think in general.
I got in the car this morning to drive in, and there was my kazoo,
Yeah.
because they literally handed out noisemakers so that we could cheer or jeer people. We were going like Mystery Science Theater 3000, like Rocky Horror Picture Show on it. It was so much fun.
It was good. It was good.
Better to have that there than the annoying stuff in the actual studio.
There, in the room.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Better for you guys.
And it was a good crowd. And when it was very interesting hearing everybody's kind of responses to the various answers. So, sometimes people were like, "Whoa!" It's like we all weren't. None of us were expecting that sort of response.
Yes.
Or, "Oh wow, that was a good answer." That applause kind of erupts.
Did you notice as the debate went on, there were moments that were outbursts from the audience, which is what we wanted.
Yes, exactly.
And what they wanted. But after a little while, people were really focused like, whoa, this is pretty good. This is really interesting.
Yeah, it was very much that RCA dog effect. Everybody was
Yeah.
kind of leaning in with theirs, like, oh,
really?
that's
Yeah.
interesting to listen to.
Okay, so let's get some more reaction to that here in a few minutes. Still ahead here. Okay, it's for the children.
Oh, gosh.
For the children.
What's for the children?
So why should a court consider striking down a law that restricts tobacco sales in one of the area metro counties? So it's a role of government question, really.
For the children?
For the children.
Okay.
That's why the law was passed. For the
all
children.
right. Red flag.
6:20, I'll tell you all about that. All right. So we're going to dive into this more head first kind of at 6:35. So I want to give everybody time to kind of get your thoughts together, have your cup of coffee, get ready to let us know. I need to bring up the Rumble page. So if you're saying something to me on Rumble, I actually haven't seen it yet. Let me get on there. Get ready to call me at 314-912-1019 throughout the day, because we're obviously going to cover what happened, because I think we said before this debate could go one of two ways. Debate number one surprised everybody with how thoughtful, how engaging, how good it was.
Yeah.
The second debate was just a hot mess.
Absolutely, it was.
And the question is, did everybody learn their lesson? And the candidates who got on, do you stay? Be forceful, challenge other people, but don't go interrupting and talking over and just making it a mess. 4 of the 5 candidates had learned that lesson.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah. But Vivek Ramaswamy wanted to keep doing the same thing. Now, in one way, it kind of worked for him, and another way, it didn't. So I want to know what people really thought about that.
He behaved himself for most of it, but there were a couple spots.
There
where
were
it
a
was
couple
rough.
spots, yeah. I mean, Tony Colombo had a great assessment of him, which we'll get into a little bit later on this. I think it was a good example. So 6:35, we're going to go head first into that, and I really want to know what you think. I mean, those of you who are watching us on video and listening to us on the radio and on our streaming apps as well. So the event last night was so much fun. I mean, so much fun at Westport Playhouse. Americans for Prosperity. That's just them and the Young Republicans, just perfect partners for this. But it was great because I was thinking about it as I was driving back home last night. And yes, I'm a little loopy because I didn't get much sleep. But I was thinking about it. I'm like, this is what it should be, because, you can be all stuffy and everybody shows up in suits and we're like, okay, yeah, but the subcommittee vice chairperson said no. These things affect our lives, but we've also got to be able to say, all right, one way or the other, these people want to lead the country, but we're going to have some fun with the conversation because they answer to us. We don't answer to them. And it was just a blast. I mean, I think everybody enjoyed, the food from the Drunken Fish. I have an allergy to seafood,
yeah,
so I could not partake.
You were out.
I could not partake in that, but everyone was having a really good time.
It was good.
I did partake of the bartender there who was selling drinks, so I did do my part there. But I saw some bunch of old friends there, met some new friends there last night. Everybody was just really jovial. There was some people there who were like big Vivek Ramaswamy supporters. I saw a few Donald Trump T-shirts there. There were some people who were Ron DeSantis supporters. A couple people I think really were really hoping to hear a lot from Tim Scott. We'll assess him in a little bit. I think people were kind of
lukewarm.
partially begrudgingly acknowledging that Nikki Haley was giving very strong debate answers.
Yeah.
So it comes down to, at this point, is how important is the debate to the race? It's I mentioned before the debate, I said I don't think this is make or break for any particular candidate, but I think it does give us a lot as voters, those who are going to vote in the primaries, or in the Missouri's case, the caucus. So really something to chew on. But now their campaigns go on that more traditional route, the campaign trail, the ads, the statements. Now it's social media. So this isn't the only thing in the campaign, but it really was I think it was just a good debate overall. I think it was really, really beneficial. And if nothing else, it showed the country that, yes, the GOP can govern and lead, because right now the GOP, when you look at the House of Representatives, has basically shown nothing but dysfunction.
Yeah. Yeah, we looked functional. Yes, I think that was one of those big things. We looked functional, even within our disagreements. There were some pointed moments, but for the most part, I think everybody was able to sort of discuss some of the nuances of these issues, and it didn't look like we were just jabbing at each other, for no good reason or personal attacks or things like that. For the most part, there were some issues. We'll get into I think some of those little instances where it did feel like it was going off the rails a little bit.
If you had to give a Cliff's Notes impression, Stell, what was your take?
We need to find out what kind of shoes Nikki Haley wears.
Assault heels.
Yes, assault heels. Yeah, it was.
I thought the moderators did a better job than I expected.
Yeah,
I thought Lester Holt kind of kept things in line.
We were just talking about this at the coffee machine.
Were you?
Yeah, we were just like, I hate to admit it, but these guys actually did a really good job of keeping things on the rails, and the questions were largely. I think there was one question where there was a false premise that it was Lester Holt. Who and of course the candidate knocked it down immediately and just kind of went forward, and then from then on everybody behaved themselves. So it was really good.
Don't get me wrong, Krista Welker's still a hack.
Well, yes.
but for this debate purposes, I agree, Stell. It was funny you say that, because literally, like Gabe said, we're getting coffee a few minutes ago, and we both were like, they really did a good job.
Yeah. I almost hate to admit it.
And Hugh Hewitt, I didn't even know he was there for the first, half hour or so, because I don't know if he got a question in.
40 minutes.
Oh, my.
He got to ask his first question 40 minutes in.
What's up with that?
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's
but
very
now, I will say this, Hugh Hewitt was the one who was most aggressive on, it's a answer the question.
Yes
answer
or no.
Answer the question.
And on some level, I appreciated that, too.
I did, too, because it should be the conservatives who are holding these candidates' feet to the fire the most. And I thought Hugh Hewitt did a good job. I like Hugh Hewitt, though. I know I'm not supposed to say that because he's on the radio on the station, but I like Hugh Hewitt. I really do. Okay, so 6:35. Let's get into that in more depth. There was a hearing at the Missouri Supreme Court yesterday. So Planned Parenthood is suing because they are demanding taxpayer money. Because the Missouri legislature, one of the things that the legislature gets very, very, very right, because we criticize the Republican-led legislature when they screw stuff up, which they do a lot. Well, the leadership does.
Yeah.
But they zeroed out funding for Planned Parenthood.
awesome.
Yeah, and they've been doing that for a while. And so Planned Parenthood is suing because they say they have a right to taxpayer money. So here's what they're arguing. They're arguing that when it comes for reimbursements and enrollment in state programs to get reimbursements for things like contraception and STI and STD testing and all of that kind of stuff, they say, hey, you reimburse other clinics, you reimburse other hospitals, but you specifically zeroed us out of it. And they say that's not fair, and the legislature should be forced to write in funding for Planned Parenthood, and they're suing because the legislature specifically said no funding for Planned Parenthood.
Maybe, except for the various laws that say that we can't, that the government cannot fund abortion procedures, right? So we all know money is fungible, cash is fungible. So when their argument that, hey, other people get these fundings, well, other people don't also funnel their money towards things that the government cannot fund.
They act dumb. Planned Parenthood acts like, well, gee, I don't know what the problem could be. Well, I don't know. I think we can clue you in what the problem might be, and it starts with the letter A.
Yeah, there you go.
And it's abortion.
Stop killing babies.
You know, and here's the thing is that everything that they're saying, it's crucial that we provide these, therefore you've got to reimburse and pay for them. You can go anywhere else and get the exact same thing. One of the things that they're actually arguing, they're like, well, you need to reimburse us for cancer screen. They don't do cancer screening.
No.
They show women how to do the self test of the
self-exam,
the lump test, the self, and then they refer you to somebody else. I mean, they're thinking like, we help screen for breast. No, you don't.
No, they do not.
They don't. That's
At
a
best,
lie.
they have references.
Yeah, they refer you to somebody else. Oh, there's a lump on your breast. Well, you should call this doctor.
You know who else refers people to? It's like the internet. It's like hey, breast cancer screenings, and you can search and find people. It's the same thing.
Every woman who's had a mammogram at a real medical office, they tell their friends and say, "Oh yeah, go to this doctor."
Yeah.
Everybody. Okay, so but the bigger question here and the bigger picture here, and I think Attorney General Andrew Bailey's office is doing a very good job with this, is they are pointing out, they're saying, listen, you want to argue over funding Planned Parenthood, that's for the legislature to decide. You don't get to come in and sue and tell the legislature how they have to do their constitutional duty. Appropriations and funding by the state constitution is for the legislature. It is not for the courts to say. And so that's a big part of their argument. And Planned Parenthood's answers from the news articles I've read about it really haven't been that strong. They're just simply saying, hey, you're discriminating against us. And I think most lawmakers in the state would go, yeah, we are.
Besides the fact that they get multi-millions of dollars in donations. They got plenty of bucks. It's not as though they need the small amount from the state of Missouri.
I think for Planned Parenthood, I think a large part of it is they just insist on being in control, and they have no control in Missouri whatsoever, and they are demanding that they access state money, and they want to tell the state government what to do.
Right.
They want to tell the conservatives, they want to tell the Republicans, because they're not always the same thing. They want to tell them what to do, and they want a court to order them to send them money. And I think it's about leverage and control more than anything else. Because you're right, Stell, they're, the tests that they order in bulk and they get and they use to give to people, which they do. They've got the money to do that. They get them from other sources. They don't need state money. This is just about telling the state government to fund Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, because we know the Democratic side donates multi-millions to them. Not just in Missouri, but nationwide.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, a lot of the times it's really just about power. You get your nose in the tent to say, "Oh, look, there is federal funding, even if it's $1," and they'll say, "Well, that shouldn't preclude us from having more federal funding for X, Y, and Z." So it even if it's just a little amount right now, it provides precedent for them to ask for more later, and also at the federal level ask for the really big bucks.
All right. So if a child survives Planned Parenthood, then we pass laws to protect them in St. Louis County, they say. And there's a lawsuit by some businesses saying, hey, you're not letting us sell legal products because you're saying we can't, it's for the children. So it's a role of government question here, a lawsuit against St. Louis City Council or the county council, not the city council, the St. Louis County Council over tobacco. This is interesting. I'll tell you about it right around 6:21 here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cousin Rob.
Vincent's Jewelers can help you pick the best gift for someone special. Another reason I like Vincent's has helped raise more than $1.5 million for local charities. Vincent's, locally owned, serving the community more than 42 years. Whenever I'm asked, what's your favorite jewelry store? My only jeweler is Vincent's on Olive, east of 270. Give Vincent's a chance to make you happy. Check for daily specials. Vincent's Jewelers Facebook or vincentsjewelers.com.
Columbo and Katie.
A CNN poll that was just released this week shows that 49% of Americans flagged Joe Biden's age as their biggest concern.
I believe that these instances are more sounding the alarm on the Democrat side to step up to the plate and run against Biden. Someone needs to run against him from our party so that we understand you exist and we understand the bench.
Tony Columbo, Katie Fitzpatrick. Weekdays at 2 on Newstalk STL.
As you know, my friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of your life. He didn't stop by simply creating the best pillow. Now Mike has done it again with his My Slippers, and the folks at My Pillow are having an early Christmas slipper sale. The original My Slippers regular price is $139.98, but for a very limited time, they're offering these slippers for just $39.98. They come in a variety of sizes and colors. Use a promo code ONFIRE at mypillow.com or call 1-800-645-1392. The My Slippers are designed to be worn indoor and out. They are made with My Pillow foam and impact gel to help prevent fatigue. Plus, they feature quality suede leather. Unlock this special offer and other savings by using the promo code ONFIRE at mypillow.com. Once again, that number is 800-645-1392, 800-645-1392, or you can go to mypillow.com, use a promo code ONFIRE, and get your special discount today.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, some gas stations and convenience stores are allowed to sell smokes in St. Louis County. I'd say most of them are.
Well, yeah.
Because that's what they do.
I presume that all of them do, but I guess there are exceptions.
Some are not allowed to.
Wow, okay.
So
that's news to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's for the children.
Huh.
Yeah, this is a role of government question.
Okay.
I actually don't know that many people who smoke. Now, 20 years ago, I'd say half the people I knew smoked.
Sure.
But today, I don't know that many people who smoke. I know a few who smoke. But it's not about, to me, it's not about the public health. It's not about, it's for the children. It's about the role of government.
Okay.
So it's an interesting lawsuit against St. Louis County here. 6:23 right now. All right, did anybody win last night's debate? Did anybody maybe build or lose momentum? I want to know what you think, so we're going to go into this discussion at 6:35. I'm watching the Rumble chat box. Stell and Gabe are watching Facebook and Twitter or X. But get ready to give me a call as well. 314-912-1019. A lot of interesting moments in that debate last night. I really want to know your impression of it, your takeaways. What were you impressed with? What were you not impressed with? Did anything surprise you? I've got a lot of sound bites from those, including some of the spicy ones from Vivek Ramaswamy.
So much sound.
Oh, yeah.
Well, here's a little tease for you. Don on YouTube just commented that Vivek said most of what we're all thinking. That was his comment.
Especially in his first rant, which I have in its entirety.
Okay, all right.
I think Don, I'm going to start with that one.
Yeah.
So
that's the one that raised the most eyebrows in the room.
that got applause from pretty much everybody.
Everybody, yeah.
I will say that Tony Columbo last night had a great analogy of Vivek Ramaswamy.
Okay.
He said that he's like Mark McGwire back in the 90s.
Oh, wow.
He swung for the fences, and when he connects, it goes out of the park. But when he misses, he spins himself into the ground like a cartoon.
That's a good
wow.
analogy.
That's almost perfect.
Tony is correct on that. I think that Vivek Ramaswamy had probably more moments, I mean, a capital M in quotes moments than the others. But I also think he swung and spun himself into the ground a couple of times too.
Yeah, some of those moments weren't great.
He made an ass of himself a couple of times.
Yeah.
He really did. It's like if this is good, then more is better. It's like, you better moderate that. Okay, so we'll get into that around 6:35. Okay, this is an interesting case. I found this on Channel 4's website today, guys. So here's the situation. A few years ago, and I vaguely remember when the law was passed. It kind of went under the radar.
Okay.
The St. Louis County Council passed a law that makes it illegal for convenience stores, gas stations that are within 1,000 feet of a school from selling any tobacco products.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I mean, 1,000 feet. I mean, you think about it. That's 3 football fields.
Right.
That's a long space.
That's a lot. That's several. Well, not several. A couple of city blocks, essentially.
Now, because of ex post facto laws and constitutional precedent, if they were already selling it, so if there's a Quick Trip or whatever, they could keep selling it. But any new ones who came in, they're not allowed to sell it, but their competition is.
Oh.
So that's been a point of contention kind of under the radar for a little while. So now some of those businesses are suing the county. So a couple of things that the story points out, which I was actually aware of because I've actually talked to a couple of the county council members. One of the arguments that they're making, they're saying, listen, the valuation of our business is based on the profit and the sales and the revenue potential.
Yes.
In addition to what we actually do. If you are not allowed to sell a legal and fairly popular product, the value of your business goes way down. And one of the business owners actually has testified at some of these hearings saying, I want to sell my business, but you've just devalued it.
Yeah. Wow.
And
not wrong.
No, he's not wrong at all. And there's a quote in here from Ernie Tracus, who, remember, he's one of the Republicans on there. Let me read part of this article. It says the county council attempted to weaken the law earlier this year, passing an amendment to the law on a 4-3 vote that would have allowed new store owners to get a license near a school if the previous store owners were grandfathered in. So basically, if a new owner, before, if they wanted to buy whatever the Quickie Mart is or whatever that they've got there, 7-Eleven or whatever, because they're the new owner, they wouldn't be allowed to sell tobacco products, and that devalued the stores. Councilman Ernie Tracus, who spearheaded, who really led this legislation, he's quoted as saying back in May, this represents greed and avarice, and I'm pointing my finger at the petroleum industry.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I'm pointing my finger at gas station owners when all they care about is maximizing their profit when they sell their business. Okay, that's coming from a Republican.
Really?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
That's an a-hole move.
Yeah, it is.
That really, especially considering what the actual margins are for gas station owners. I don't know if he knows this, but it's like 2%. They make zero money on the actual gas.
Yeah.
They only make money on purchases made inside those little storefronts.
Yeah. And so,
wow.
Yeah, and that is, see, that's why I say we need to watch for big government tendencies within the Republican Party and within the conservative movement.
Yeah.
Now, Ernie Tracus overall is a center-right guy. He's got plenty of conservative leanings. I don't think he's a bad council member, but I think he's dead wrong on this.
Oh, absolutely.
But the argument basically is, well, it's for the children. But here's the thing. I have not heard a single report. Now, I'm sure there's probably some skeezy sort of convenience store out there at 2 a.m. They'll find whatever and sell a pack of smokes to a high school kid. But we know that tobacco use among young people is way, 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 way down. I mean, it's dropped tremendously.
Yeah.
Even though tobacco is if it's within 1,000 feet, if a teenager goes in, is there anybody selling it to them now?
That was the other question I had.
Nobody's selling it to them.
Well, there's already a law that says you can't. So what? So I don't understand the. I guess it's similar to the discussion we had about marijuana dispensaries being near schools, right?
The one in Soulard.
The one in Soulard, right? That there was the whole discussion was like, oh, you can't be too close to these schools because of X, Y, and Z. It's like, well, you can't sell to the kids anyway.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, somebody may argue, well, you don't allow adult businesses near the schools as well, unless they're grandfathered in. But That to me is a little bit different, although I'm still not sure that that's a good policy as well. I'm open to the argument, but because of their displays, because of their marketing that they put out there in front of everything. But in this case right here, you have a legal product. I mean, there's no I don't know if there's a restriction that you can't sell alcohol.
I was going to ask the other thing too.
I don't know that there's a restriction there's definitely not a restriction that you can't sell junk food that they shouldn't be eating. I mean, so they've targeted one industry, and for a Republican to say this is just greed and I blame them, basically what he's saying is you should be willing to lose money when you sell your business, which is, by the way, you sell a business when you retire.
Yeah,
it's a small business.
It's done.
By the way, and I don't. Maybe I'm missing something here, but I don't understand why Ernie's pointing his finger at the petroleum industry when these are franchises, are they not?
Yes.
So you got local ownership. They're the ones who are barely making it, trying to get enough folks to come in to purchase something other than gas. So I'm not quite sure why he's focusing on the petroleum industry.
That was weird. That was a weird. To me, it felt like a non sequitur.
Yeah, it really is, and I don't. Listen, I don't want kids smoking either, and so I think we've done a pretty good job in the past 15 years of getting the word out, and a lot of kids are like, I don't want to do that. It's not trendy and cool the way that it used to be. But this is a role of government question for me.
Yeah.
If it's a legal product, convenience stores need these products. I mean,
there's already age restriction on it.
Yeah, they're not allowed to sell it to them as it is. But to take the approach that says we are going to pick and choose who's allowed to profit and who is not allowed to profit over legal products, I think you've got a big role of government issue and a big government issue that's a problem here. I mean, look, there's a charter school that is directly across the street from a dispensary that's going in St. Louis City. The people don't like it, but are you going to violate the rights of business owners because you say you want to protect kids from legal stuff?
Right.
Yeah. And I hate to push back against my fellow Greek, but I don't understand where Ernie's standing.
I think it's an interesting. It's an interesting debate. It's one of those feel good but bad policy issues here.
Yeah.
And even though a Republican led the effort on it. All right, 314-912-1019. Let's do this. Let's talk about that debate last night. If you tuned out and you did not watch or listen last night, you actually may be surprised at what you missed. It was actually a pretty good debate. I thought it was really interesting. Let's get your thoughts on that just ahead here on 1019-94.1 News Talk STL. Comments are already coming in on Rumble.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Fall is back in the driver's seat this morning. After climbing into the 80s yesterday afternoon, high temperatures will be about 25 degrees cooler today. We're going to start with some sunshine, but clouds will gradually increase through the day. I'm forecasting a high of about 59 degrees. Mostly cloudy this evening, a shower possible, but that is well to the south of St. Louis. Our low tonight at 42. Friday, sunny, highs in the low 60s, and not much change through the weekend. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next trip into the great outdoors. For decades, Bluff City Outdoors has covered all the needs for area fishermen, and they'll always have all the best bait, tackle, and gear for your next trip on the water. And now they cover all your bow hunting needs, including their state-of-the-art indoor archery range and techno hunt system, open every day for you to come shoot, or you can join a league. Follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and learn more at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert every every Saturday morning at 9 right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stiefel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
You can't buy a best friend. You can love them, walk them, pet them, and care for them, whether they want you to or not. You can take a picture or 50. You can fly to the moon, travel the world, or just stay in bed. You can't buy a best friend like that, but you can adopt one. There are millions of pets waiting for a best friend just like you. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
Columbo and Katie.
On Thursday, we'll discuss winners, losers, and all the fallout from the presidential debate, plus Missouri Rep. Justin Sparks at 2:20 and Dr. Randy Tobler at 3:05.
Weekdays at 2
on News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Dan Bongino here, and I'm proud to be on News Talk STL every weekday from 11 to 2. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, I'm just going to say it. I found last night's debate really, really interesting. I mean, for the most part, there were a couple moments where I rolled my eyes, but it was much better than that second debate.
Oh,
much better.
Miles difference.
Yeah, I got to say, as someone who was not really zoned in on it, when I initially started listening and viewing it, because I was watching you guys, I actually stayed with it because the interest was there. It wasn't like last time where I thought, you know what, I'm not sure if I can make it through the whole thing. Last night, I got pulled into it.
Yeah, I did, because we talked about here on the show that we said, what's it going to be? Is it going to be more like the first one, or is it going to be more like the second one? Because the second one was just a freaking clown show. I mean, it was just shouting over the top of each other. It was stupid is what it was. And I asked the question, or maybe you asked the question, Gabe, it's like, will they show that they've learned from that one? And I think 4 of the 5 candidates did. Vivek Ramaswamy, I think, still decided that was the right approach. And to some degree, people are talking about Vivek Ramaswamy today. So I'm going to start with like the biggest applause line he got. He started off by trying to set the tone with that sort of hard-hitting thing. This is not him yelling over the top of anybody else. But I'm going to start with his soundbite, which I think I saw some people tweeting out last night. They're saying, okay, it's over. He already run like minutes in.
Minutes after.
And there are people who are going to argue that he did win if there is a winner. I think he had good moments. I think he had terrible moments as well. But people are talking about him. All right, by the way, News Talk STL, our streaming app, you can take us anywhere. I actually had somebody last night at the event say that he was really glad we had that streaming app because in the area where he lives, he drives through one of those little pockets where both of our radio signals, 94.1 and 101.9, kind of fade out. But now he's got the streaming app and doesn't have to worry about switching any channels and just Bluetooth it right in the car. And so be sure to load that on your phone. Almost no memory, or some cars. You can put it on your cars now. And it's free. Takes very little memory and just about 15 seconds. Okay, so who won or who lost? Who built or lost momentum? Who stood out to you? So let me read a quick just comment or two before I start playing these sound bites here. I'm looking at Rumble here. Blues Nut. He said, I don't trust him, but I think Vivek rocked everyone last night.
Yeah, I mean, rocked is probably enough of a neutral word that it covers both, like you said, his ups and downs during the night. I think that opener, it got so much goodwill, his opener, that it just kind of, it muted even the sort of not so great moments in the rest of the debate.
Yeah, from the comments, I see to make a consensus of it with various comments, all of them are geared toward Vivek and the way that he came across, and that the opening was pretty good.
Let's go with that opening.
Yeah,
because I think that's really what people. Because I think he did have a couple of a-hole moments later on, but his opening is really what everybody's talking about. It's a little bit longer than the clip I usually play, but it moves so fast. I don't think you're going to get bored here. So here's this is literally the opening question to the candidates here.
Why should you be the nominee and not the former president?
I think there's something deeper going on in the Republican Party here, and I am upset about what happened last night. We've become a party of losers at the end of the day. It was a cancer in the Republican establishment. Let's speak the truth. I mean, since Ronna McDaniel took over as chairwoman of the RNC in 2017, we have lost 2018, 2020, 2022, no red wave that never came. We got trounced last night in 2023. And I think that we have to have accountability in our party. For that matter, Ron, if you want to come on stage tonight, you want to look the GOP voters in the eye and tell them you resign, I will yield my time to you. And frankly, look, the people there cheering for losing in the Republican Party. Think about who's moderating this debate. This should be Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk. We'd have 10 times the viewership, asking questions that GOP primary voters actually care about and bringing more people into our party. You think the Democrats, and we've got Kristen Welker here, you think the Democrats would actually hire Greg Gutfeld to host a Democratic debate? They wouldn't do it. And so the fact of the matter is, I mean, Kristen, I'm going to use this time because this is actually about you in the media and the corrupt media establishment. Ask you, the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that you pushed on this network for years, was that real or was that Hillary Clinton made-up disinformation? Answer the question. Go.
Mr. Roberts.
Sorry. This is how we get our country back. We need accountability because this media rigged the 2016 election. They rigged the 2020 election with the Hunter Biden laptop story.
Mr. Ramaswamy,
and they're going to rig this election.
Your time is up.
Accountability.
Okay, that got a big applause line at the
Man.
I mean, regardless of who you supported, everybody was cheering that one at the Westport playoffs.
That one hit hard. There were a lot of open mouths, jaws on the floor, basically, just looking around. It's like, did he really just? I was like, yes, he did. And then there were cheers immediately following.
Yeah, there were people like me sitting in my kitchen going, yes, go after him, go.
Now, let me say why that particular thing worked. Because he went after the usual suspects that everybody's been kind of yelling at, and he didn't go after the people on the stage who he has a lot more common cause with. You know, we like. We only like the infighting when it's really us fighting people who are out, who just pretend like they're in, like Ronna McDaniel. Like, because I mean, look, as much as she for some reason has risen in power in the Republican Party, not many. I don't know any Republicans who like her as a leader. So and a lot of them just regard her as not Republican enough to be a Republican leader. So when he hits at basically our enemies, we are ecstatic about it. But when he kind of turns to the side, there's a little his little trepidation, like, oh wait, hold on, where are you going with this?
A little bit later, the way that he went after Nikki Haley on one, I thought was pretty low class. But this right here set a tone. You want to hear Ronna McDaniel's response?
Yeah, I do.
Sure.
Okay.
Republicans fighting Republicans is not a winning strategy. And we saw this in 2022 where we lost races because of vitriol between our own party. And we can't win without all of us.
That's not why you lost.
No.
It's just not.
No. And here's the thing. I do generally do not like Republican on Republican violence. But the thing is, I don't think she's a Republican.
Well, she's a McRomney. I mean, she's a McDaniel. So that's part of the problem right there.
Yeah, I mean, she got called out, and this is, I mean, I've been unapologetic about what I think of the RNC.
Mm-hmm.
I think all of us have said what we think about Ronna McDaniel. Matter of fact, one of the things that at conservative radio you get a lot of is like, hey, the RNC says, hey, we're going to give you this regional spokesperson. Let's have an RNC. And I turned it down from day one.
Oh, yeah.
Is that I hate RNC interviews. I won't be a mouthpiece for a party.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because the RNC, you remember early on, we had one scheduled over some big news story, and they actually tried to tell me, no, we can't talk about that.
Yeah, I remember that. That was really early on in our show.
And I actually, on the phone in the break during the information segment, I said, well, we have to talk about it. Or else we're just insulting the listeners and we look stupid. So if you want to reschedule, we can do something else. But if you're going to be on, I'm going to ask you about it.
Right.
And they kind of begrudgingly gave a non-answer to it. And at that point, I'm like, you know what? I'm done with just promoting the RNC. If they want to promote on the station, you know what? Buy some ads.
Buy some time. There you go.
So at this point, we'll take ads from them. They can buy stuff from us and send us money.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never donated to the RNC, and I'm not going to now. And I think Ronna McDaniel is one of the reasons that you shouldn't be donating to the RNC.
Absolutely.
Okay, Tim Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Not a good debater.
He is not.
He's just not.
I don't think it's in him. I don't think it's in him to really come. He basically gives like mini sermons.
Yeah.
And it's just it doesn't come across
and
well.
it's clunky.
And it's very clunky. He's very clunky when he delivers his
And he's such
discussions.
a brilliant man.
Yeah.
He's got a compelling story, but he just could not get away from his rehearsed stuff.
And I think that's because he is necessarily clunky. I don't think he's great off the cuff. I know of plenty of really, really intelligent people who could write a paper that'll knock your socks off.
Yeah.
But if you put them in front of a microphone, they're not exactly delivering the I Have a Dream speech.
One of the things that a debate like this, the role in the debate in a campaign is you want to have that memorable moment.
Yeah.
Right. You want that moment.
Mm-hmm. A good line.
The good line, the good exchange, the thing that and not everybody had moments. I mean, I think everybody had this is the closest Tim Scott had to a moment, and it was really overshadowed by some of the others.
Let me just say to every single university president in America, federal funding is a privilege, not a right. Number one. Number two. To every student who've come to our country on a visa to a college campus, your visa is a privilege, not a right. Number three, any campus that allows for anti-Semitism and hate, to allow students to encourage terrorism, mass murder, and genocide, you should lose your federal funding today, period. To all the students on visas who are encouraging Jewish genocide, I would deport you from those campuses. We have to stand strong with our Jewish Americans. At the end of the day, we should not have our Jewish students in a library being told to hide. On our streets in New York, a Jewish citizen has the right to walk on the streets of America with no fear.
Good answer. I mean, those were good answers. I think that was the peak of his performance.
That was the best. Yeah. I think you're exactly right. He got the best response, not just in the room there, but in the room at our event as well.
Yeah. Okay, I've got a few more from the other candidates. Let's do that here in a few minutes. Let me know what you think. Getting a lot of comments coming in here. Jay Monty says McDaniel. Oh, where did it go? Another comment came in. Oh, there it is. McDaniel is either a loser or she is purposely sinking the party for money paid to her from the DNC. Ooh, man, Jay Monty hitting hard early in the morning already. All right, 314-912-1019. Let's hear from Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Chris Christie, and then that dust up between Vivek Ramaswamy and Nikki Haley as well. Just ahead, right around 6:49 here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
News, analysis, opinion. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
This is 1019 and 94.1.
I have to tell you, if this is how they're going to behave, I'm rethinking my position.
News Talk STL.
Hi, Chris Arps here. Join me and the team at Royal Banks in Missouri for their annual Economic Forecast Breakfast. The event will take place on Tuesday, November 14th at the Factory in the District in the Chesterfield Valley. Hear from the experts and get a better understanding of what to expect from the U.S. economy in 2024 and beyond. Attendance is free, but you do need to reserve a spot. You can RSVP by sending an email to emails@royalbanksnet.com or by calling 314-212-1545. Royal Banks, Missouri, the community bank that is in your community.
Southern Armory, your hometown gun store. Come and be more than just a customer. Southern Armory, we carry the best guns, holsters, knives, magazines, ammunition, and even food storage. Special orders are welcome. Southern Armory, 1 mile east of 270 and 44, 9901 Watson Road, and southernarmory.com. That's southernarmory.com.
Whether you're purchasing your first firearm or adding to your collection at Southern Armory, you're more than a customer, you're part of the family. Follow Southern Armory on Facebook or at southernarmory.com. Hey, Columbo here with a great offer from the cleaning pros at Zero Res. Just mention the Columbo special when you book a cleaning in November, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129 plus $50 off an air duct cleaning. We trust Zero Res because they're simply the best when it comes to cleaning any surface in your home, and they stand behind every cleaning with their gotta love it guarantee. Just remember to mention the Colombo Special when you call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
So we finally got the parts for the time machine.
Classic Kicks Country is streaming now. Hear all your new country favorites from the 90s. Streaming as it happened in the 90s. Classic Kicks. Download the Classic Kicks app from the App Store. Online at ClassicKicks.com. Or enable the Classic Kicks skill on Alexa. 90s New Country streaming now. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at Stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey there, Tim Jones here. Make sure you join me and my buddy Chris Arps this afternoon from 4 until 6 p.m. right here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. Right now, let's get back to more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning.
There's a time and place for everything.
Okay, I played that clip from Vivek Ramaswamy, going after Ronna McDaniel, going after the media. Smoozy Q, Susie Moore, she says on Rumble, I did like that from Vivek. The rest of the night, not so much.
Yeah.
I get where you're coming from. I'm going to play, I think, the worst offense of Vivek Ramaswamy a little bit later on here. And what else do we have? Oh, Susie says Tim Scott also had a good moment pushing back on the premise that reopening the pipeline, meaning the Keystone XL, wouldn't have an immediate impact on prices. He was pushing back against Lester Holt. I forgot about that. That was pretty good because he just went, no, you're wrong about that, Lester.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So there will be one more GOP presidential debate, but my guess is that last night's was probably the most important one. So your response to what you heard from the candidates, what you like, what you don't like, 314-912-1019 or on our social medias. So, guys, if you see something pop up on the other platforms, just let me know here. By the way, despite the left's best efforts, Missourians are taking advantage of school choice programs when they are available to them. So find out why that is a step in the right direction and why it means that we should be pushing even harder for more. Okay, so the debate last night, and by the way, thanks again to everybody who came out to the Westport Playhouse. That was so much fun. I mean, that was so
It was
much fun.
great. I really enjoyed
so much
it.
Fun.
And
all right.
Mike didn't get to partake, but the food from the Drunken Fish was awesome.
I'm going to take your word for it. I have a very bad seafood allergy, and so I vicariously enjoyed watching everybody else enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm a sushi aficionado. Not really. I just really like it.
Yeah.
I like sushi. And I've been to the Drunken Fish before and paid a lot of money for that same food. And I was like, this is awesome.
So thank you so much for Americans for Prosperity Missouri.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, of course, the Young Republicans from St. Louis County who partnered with us on that. I did enjoy from Citywide or City Brick. Was it Brick Company? What's that beer?
Oh, I don't remember.
Whatever it is. When I usually have their drink, it's a cider, but I had their pale ale last night.
Mm-hmm.
It's decent.
It's good.
Decent.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, they didn't have Yingling, but that was pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Let's go back to some of the debate moments. Now, Ron DeSantis, I think it was interesting to watch him because if you just listen to the words that he said, or if you were to read the words that he said on paper, you're like, yeah, okay, yeah, no, absolutely good, strong answers, yes, but he's not a debate. This is not his platform.
Also, not a really good debater.
Right.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, he doesn't get flustered and he doesn't struggle for words, kind of the way Tim Scott kind of did.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
He doesn't have the pregnant pauses or anything like that. Yeah.
He doesn't do that. But when you listen to what he's saying, you're like, yeah, okay, yeah, that sounds good. You can still see, that this guy's got a presence that is leadership. So, he didn't do bad.
Right.
He really didn't have those big moments. So I think it was good for him to be there. I don't think it hurt him. I don't know that it necessarily was a big momentum builder for him, but I think this is not the main part of his campaign.
I'm not sure that anybody who was looking for him to break out saw anything tonight. Because that was one of the things we asked everybody. Hey, what do you want to see from the various candidates? And every time they talked about DeSantis, they were saying we want to see a big moment. We want to see him sort of break out of his shell, just come out, feel more natural, and things like that. And just he just doesn't. This isn't his venue.
Yeah. And here is, and I think he had a couple of decent moments on there,
Sure.
but it was not like like a Vivek Ramaswamy
Oh, gosh, no.
stunning the room kind of thing.
Right.
But here I thought was a pretty good moment that he did have.
I would be telling Bibi, finish the job once and for all with these butchers, Hamas. They're terrorists. They're massacring innocent people. They would wipe every Jew off the globe if they could. He cannot live with that threat right by his country. That Hamas should release every hostage and they should unconditionally surrender. I'm sick of hearing the media. I'm sick of hearing other people blame Israel just for defending itself. We will stand with Israel in word and in deed, in public and in private. And I can tell you, as governor, I actually did something about it. Biden's neglect has been atrocious. We had Floridians that were over there after the attack. He left them stranded. They couldn't get flights out. So I scrambled resources in Florida. I sent planes over to Israel, and I brought back over 700 people to safety. There could have been more hostages had we not acted.
That was strong.
Yeah, it was very strong. Did you hear that this got fact checked? By the way, this got fact checked. They were saying, well, he just arranged for payment for the flights.
He coordinated them. They wouldn't have happened if it weren't for. Listen,
Well, you want him on the plane?
Right. Do you want him flying it? I mean, we're crying out loud.
It's like those weren't Florida planes. They were from a private organization.
Yeah. For God's sake.
Yeah, that's what amounted to the fact check.
Good.
And 700 people were brought back on those
Yeah.
planes, by the way. Yeah. So.
Just like Afghanistan.
Yeah.
The same issue where private folks
Yep.
went over there and got people out
Mm-hmm.
of Kabul, and fact checkers go, well, this was exactly what you said.
The fact checkers. You have to use gigantic air quotes when you're talking about those people. Anyway.
Oh, jeez. All right. Let's see here, because I just got a couple minutes left here. Nikki Haley, there's a lot of people talking about her answer on abortion policy. Here's what she had to say.
Let's agree on how we can ban late-term abortions. Let's make sure we encourage adoptions and good quality adoptions. Let's make sure we make contraception accessible. Let's make sure that none of these state laws put a woman in jail or give her the death penalty for getting an abortion.
I have mixed feelings on her answers on abortion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but it's got people talking.
She's touched on, I think, a discussion that's going on right now on the right, especially the pro-life right, about how to win. Because there are those of us who, all of us who are abolitionists. We feel like, well, we just wanted to stop killing people from killing babies. Nobody should be able to kill babies at any point. It's like that's the moral position. But we're talking about winning and losing elections at this point, and that's the calculus that she's making in her answers.
I think it is.
It feels gross, though.
I think it's a very, very far reach to think that you're going to come to any consensus on abortion, and that's one of the things I think Republicans need to keep in mind as well. But abortion has been a winning issue for the Democrats lately. Okay, real quick here.
Yes.
I've got a clip from Chris Christie, which I may get to later because I don't have time. But here is that exchange between Vivek Ramaswamy and Nikki Haley. They were talking about TikTok and China's, using it as a spyware and all that kind of stuff. This is one of the areas where I think Vivek Ramaswamy kind of left a bad taste in a few people's mouth.
Her own daughter was actually using the app for a long time, so you might want to take care of your family first.
Leave my
before
daughter
preaching to
out of your
anybody else,
voice.
adult daughter. The next generation of Americans are using it, and that's actually the point. You have her supporters propping her up. That's fine.
Okay, that wasn't her supporters propping her up. That was the whole place booing, saying you're out of line, dude.
Yeah.
So he swung and missed and spun himself into the ground on that one. I remember when that happened, sitting back going, that's really an a-hole move on his part there.
Because he could have just said, hey, those of you in the crowd here are using TikTok, and just left it at that without pointing at her.
Because remember, I said one of the things I think Nikki Haley needs to do is avoid getting pulled into a slap fight with Vivek Ramaswamy.
Yes. Yeah.
And he kept wanting to pull her in, and for the most part, she stayed away from it, just stayed above him on that. But that was one of the areas where I think he swung and missed. But he had moments where he swung and hit it out of the park.
Somebody in the room said nobody really liked that, and the ladies really did not like his.
Right.
That and the heels comment, by the way.
Yeah, calling her Dick Cheney and 3-inch heels. That was childish.
It felt low.
Yeah, it did.
Hey guys, Columbo here, reminding you that if you belong to an organization like a school or a church, or your kids are part of a group or a sports team that needs to raise money, there's no better way to do so than with a TJ's Pizza fundraiser. TJ's Pizza has been helping local organizations raise money for over 30 years to the tune of tens of millions of dollars. A local company helping local people, and there's lots of different ways TJ's can help you raise big money fast. Get started now at tjspizza.com.
Hey, I'm here with one of our great friends, Rob Connor from Connor Roofing. You know, I talk about all the time who to trust, and trusting a company is everything to me. Why do people trust Connor Roofing?
Well, 30 years of being an honest roofing company that you can call and get an honest opinion on your project. We've got thousands of customers that are very happy that they did call us.
If there's a storm, the shingles fly off the house, first thing you should do is call 314-375-7475. That's how you get in touch with Connor Roofing or ConnorRoofing.com. That's CONNER roofing.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour at townhall.com. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. In Hialeah, Florida last night, former President Trump held his own rally instead of attending the GOP presidential debate. Just a few miles away in Miami, that's where White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports there was plenty of infighting.
A recent campaign feud between Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley carried over to the debate stage.
Mine was 10 years ago.
You gave
Yours
them
was
stuff.
6
I
months
didn't
ago.
give them anything.
What's your story?
And I abolished that agency that she's talking about.
No.
Haley also took issue when Vivek Ramaswamy mentioned her daughter using TikTok.
Leave my daughter out of your voice.
Ramaswamy opened the debate by tearing into the mainstream media as well as the chairwoman of the Republican National Committee. Greg Clugston at the GOP debate in Miami.
Retired Yuma, Arizona Chief Border Patrol Agent Chris Clem says morale was rising high during the Trump years because of his commitment to building a border wall.
And then because we had a change in administration, a few executive orders on Inauguration Day in 2021, and all that progress we had made for 25 years of my career was pretty much stopped with a few executive actions.
Palestinians in Gaza City have continued to flood south as Israel's military ground incursion continues.
Civilians still in Gaza City in the north of the enclave said they could see and hear Israeli ground forces closing in from multiple directions. As a result, thousands of civilians have fled the area as food and water become scarce and urban fighting between Israel and Hamas heats up. Clashes took place not far from the area's main Shifa hospital. The Israeli military say Hamas has a command center below the hospital, but Hamas and weary hospital staff deny the claim. They say the Israeli military is making a pretext to strike the downtrodden facility. I'm Karen Shamas.
More of these stories at townhall.com.
Following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
I'm Corey, and this is my story. I was going through some financial troubles paying off my credit cards. I was paying high interest rates, and it just wasn't getting any better. And I knew I had to do something. So my mom told me about Trinity, and so I decided to call. Trinity was able to do something that I couldn't. I'm paying off my debt, I'm saving thousands, and things are really looking up. I promise you guys, you will not regret it when you called Trinity, because it was such a relief and less stress in my life, and it was the best thing I could have done for myself, because once I called Trinity, they took care of me, and I felt such a relief, a weight off my shoulders. Trinity was great to work with. They wanted to help me. I love it.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
I'm Corey, and I'm debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Fall is back in the driver's seat this morning. After climbing into the 80s yesterday afternoon, high temperatures will be about 25 degrees cooler today. We're going to start with some sunshine, but clouds will gradually increase through the day. I'm forecasting a high of about 59 degrees. Mostly cloudy this evening, a shower possible, but that is well to the south of St. Louis. Our low tonight at 42. Friday, sunny, highs in the low 60s, and not much change through the weekend. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Hey, Tim Jones here with Tony Colombo for our friends Rodney and Jen Wallner at the Wallner Home Selling Team. If you're thinking about taking advantage of the market and selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now. Put St. Louis's #1 home selling team to work for you. Rodney and Jen have the experience and work ethic that sets them apart from all the rest. That's why they sell 15 times more homes per year than your typical realtor and have so many qualified buyers right now. They'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. The results, Tony, speak for themselves.
That's right, Tim. In fact, I recently benefited from those results personally. My wife and I couldn't be happier with the job the Wallners did for us, selling our old home in less than 2 days for significantly more than we were asking for and finding us the perfect new home. Like so many others, we loved working with Rodney and Jen, the Wallner Home Selling Team with Berkshire Hathaway. So if you're thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare ya!
Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! This is your cousin.
All right, we need more school choice in both Missouri and Illinois. We know that. We've been pushing for that since, forever. But here's the interesting thing is the numbers are showing that when it is available, people take advantage of it, showing there is a demand for it, showing that people want those options and they should have them. Get in some of the weeds about that here in just a moment. It's 7:06 right now. Got Gabe Pfeiffer in the studio. Got Stil Ponticus in the studio. My name's Mike Ferguson. Hey, don't forget, we've got our podcast and our on-demand listening as well. I actually had somebody last night at the debate watch party saying, yeah, I get to work at this time, so I just miss this part of your show. And I said, yeah, but we've got the on-demand thing. You can just go back and catch up and listen to it later on. And you kind of saw that light bulb go on. It's like, oh, okay, yeah. So absolutely. If you're on any podcast platform, I think we're on all of them. Just look up News Talk STL and subscribe. Or you can go to newstalkstl.com and you can get pretty much every hour of every local show and also separately the interviews and some of the bigger moments of each day's show. So you can pick and choose what you want to take with you. Okay, interesting study that's coming out, or at least some research. Missouri school choice programs. Okay, we've got them. They're limited. They're not available to everybody. There should be more of them out there. But what do we know about the ones that are in place right now? Are they successful? We're now joined by Daryl Jones from the Herzog Foundation, and it's an interesting article, and I found this at readlion.com, your all's great website. Missouri School Choice Program quietly swells in the second year, but there's still a lot of room for growth. So what we're looking at here is the programs that are out there. When people know they're there, man, there's a lot of people who take advantage of these.
Yeah, it's really true. Great to be with you guys, Mike and Stel. Really appreciate the opportunity to talk. Yeah, I'll tell you what, it is absolutely growing. There is a great demand, great interest, certainly across the country, but right here in the state of Missouri as well. I mean, the numbers are growing. It rolled out, the whole program, Missouri Scholars, rolled out in July of 2022. And is only growing every year. And HerzogFoundation.com is a place, as you said, where you can find everything about what we're doing. But I will tell you, the state of Missouri, the Treasurer's Office, who's been very supportive and loves the whole education choice program, by the way, set up 6 different entities across the state that people could give to, and in giving to it, for example, your taxes, your tax liability to the state of Missouri, my tax liability to the state of Missouri. We can give up to 50% of it to one of 6 different clearinghouses. Herzog would be one of those. Up to 50% I can give on my taxes. It's credited 100% towards that 50% of my taxes. And those dollars then could be lumped with other taxes and could be given as $6,300 scholarships to families that apply, with the whole idea of giving parents real options to take their kids out of a failing system. Just look at the latest test scores from around the country, the national credit card as it is, and giving parents real options as to what they can do for education for their kids, and certainly allowing them to be not simply in private education, but we believe Christian education, an education system that embraces the values of the family, is very important.
Good morning, Daryl. Gabe here. So I'm sure there are a lot of people listening who are thinking, yeah, I wish I could take advantage of that, but I probably don't qualify. What are the qualifications for getting into this system, getting those scholarships?
Well, that's a great question, Gabe. By the way, good morning to you as well. Sorry I missed you.
No worries.
He was feeling left out.
Oh,
I know it. I hate having done that.
It's okay. It's okay.
Terrible. Well, when the state legislature set it up, which by the way, I still am amazed that we have an ESA program in the state of Missouri. I think it's wonderful. I think it's necessary. But when they set it up, they certainly set it up with several hoops that need to be jumped through. But I will tell you, we get calls all the time at the foundation from families asking if they qualify, and so many times they do. Now, what it comes down to is basically you have to be 200% below the poverty level, and if you're there, that's one stipulation. They didn't want the ESA program working specifically in small rural communities, although that's a whole other topic that we could talk about at another time. But realistically, there are about 6 or 8 counties in the state of Missouri that qualify. So if you're in St. Louis, for example, you will qualify. If you're in Kansas City, you will qualify. If you're in Columbia, if you're in Joplin, you will qualify. They wanted larger communities to be the beneficiaries. But they only set up like $25 million that was all that could be used for credits. It goes to $27 million this year, but the demand is greater than what's being offered. So we're very eager and excited to see how the legislature will deal with that, especially in light of keeping up with other states not simply in the country, in our region. I mean, what Sarah Huckabee Sanders has done, what Kim Reynolds has done up in Iowa, really may challenge our legislature to expand the program. And we at the Herzog Foundation would love to see that happen.
Do we know how heavily involved Christian education has been in these programs? I mean, we know there are public charter schools. We know there are other schools that aren't necessarily faith-based. But is this benefiting the expansion of Christian education? Because like you said, these are donation type programs here, so we're not talking about the same type of venue of funding as other schools. But what role has Christian education had since these programs have been put in place?
Well, that's a great question. Christian education has been a great recipient of this program, and as a result of that, you're seeing what we're seeing are a number of business owners, not just the Mike Fergusons and Gabe Pfeiffers and Daryl Joneses of the world, but corporations that are saying, hey, we think this is good for our state. We think this is good for families of our state. And they're reaching out to the Herzog Foundation and saying, hey, we want our corporate tax liability to go into this as well, because we want to see more kids have opportunity for good education. And certainly Christian schools have benefited greatly. I mean, we at the Herzog Foundation have hired 2 people just to manage this initiative for us. One person that's actually looking for those families, helping families who qualifies, but another person who's looking for those tax credit donations. So I would just say on the St. Louis side, and by the way, there are schools in St. Louis that are receiving scholarships that we at the Herzog Foundation are finding those tax dollars and credits and making those scholarships go forward. So I would just say anybody in the St. Louis area that's interested in, hey, I'd like to. This is I can send my tax dollars to Jeff City or if they're going to allow me to take up to half my tax liability and help put a kid in a Christian school, I'm on board with that. We are the Herzog Foundation .com, and we'd love to talk to you about how you can help be a part of that mission and how we can help you with that desire.
Daryl, I wanted to get your perspective on what we've seen from the writings of that dysphoric woman out of Nashville who shot up that Christian school. We got a couple of pages from her writings that suggest that, basically just full of the same sort of cultural Marxist teachings that are a regular feature of public schools these days. So I wanted to get your perspective on what we now know to be true about that whole situation.
Well, it's I think I'm as troubled with the time that it took for this. Wasn't even a release; it was a leak.
Yeah,
and I think I'm as troubled with that as I am, with what happened. Where once again we have a person with mental instability who clearly had planned to do this. I mean, even writing down names of potential victims is just it's just heinous. It's just so sad. But once again, we're now Christian children and Christian schools are becoming victims and targets of hate based on white privilege, which, as you noted, is a key component, apparently, of public education today, a key talking point for public education, and so it's troubling indeed.
We're visiting with Daryl Jones from the Herzog Foundation. ReadLion.com is where you're going to find a lot of information. Really good source, not just education, but a lot of the cultural aspects that affect education as well. Daryl, I'm just saying is that Jess Piper is going to be very, very upset with our conversation that we're having right now, and like all 20 of her devotees are going to be very upset with us. So I'm waiting for the phone lines to be lit up.
Here comes the tweet storm.
Yeah, here comes the tweet storm. Yeah, exactly. So
I'll tell you what, we all have roles and things we've got to do, and to be honest with you, we've got a mission at the Herzog Foundation, and I don't think we're going to be derailed or thwarted by some naysayers,
Exactly. Okay, so pre-filing for the Missouri legislature starts here in then really just a couple of, 3 weeks or so. When we're looking at school choice and things that could benefit parents who want to put their kids in another school or homeschool or use maybe the tools that you all have available for those or start a micro school, is there anything that you think could be on the horizon this coming legislative session that could take some additional steps in the right direction? Because I'm glad we've got what we've got, but I'm not going to be satisfied until we have universal school choice in the state.
Sure. Well, and it's happening all around us. I mean, again, what Kim Reynolds is doing, what Sarah Huckabee Sanders is doing, I hope will be a challenge to the Missouri legislature to step up their game and say, hey, there's more we can do. Because honestly, everywhere that it's going, everywhere that school choice is going, the public school system around those areas are only getting better. I mean, they have to. Everybody has to get better. You lose the monopoly. Now it's competitive, and failing kids, pushing them forward, pushing them through, and you're still getting paid and nothing, there's no accountability. That goes by the wayside when now there are state dollars that are available to other students for honestly, for the education choice of the parents. And where that includes Christian schools as well, we're seeing great results and great statistics that are following even in just, the short year and a half since Missouri opened up the Missouri Scholars Program. So we're hopeful that, that more communities will contact and talk with their legislators and we'll see what happens. But we are hopeful based on what we're seeing by our neighbors to the north and to the south.
All right. I encourage everybody to check out y'all's website. I mentioned readlion.com. I get your newsletter, so I get the updates from there, and I think everybody else should too. What's the other way to be in touch, Daryl?
Well, listen, HerzogFoundation.com is the website with all of our initiatives. What are we doing to help Christian schools, HerzogFoundation.com. What are we doing to help parents? What are we doing to help homeschool families? HerzogFoundation.com. What are we doing to launch Christian schools in rural communities and in urban communities? HerzogFoundation.com. Everything we're doing can be found there.
All right, Daryl, great talking to you again. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Daryl.
Always good talking to you guys. God bless.
And he's 100% right about the whole rural thing. That's actually where the opposition comes from. It's coming from rural Republicans in Missouri. They're the ones that are fighting to protect the public school districts in many areas.
Because they're such big employers in those areas.
And they're kind of the center of the community type of thing. Even when they suck, and even though the teachers' unions in the public schools will never support them, they're still kind of feeling pressured in to try to protect them, which denies parents and children better opportunities. But that's a whole other subject for a different day.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Nashville, the mentally ill woman who went and attacked the Christian school. Several police officers have been suspended in Nashville over this whole case, but not for the reasons you may think. I'll tell you why. This may really anger you. I'll tell you about it around 7:22 here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cousin God. Get up, what are you waiting for?
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Is your family prepared for the financial burden of losing a loved one?
Are you aware of the cost of a funeral?
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for lifetime permanent final expense insurance coverage with no medical exam required.
Just answer a few health questions, and once accepted, your rates never increase.
Do you have diabetes? High blood pressure?
Have you had a heart attack? A stroke?
No problem.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial can help protect your legacy.
Call or text 314-866-8886. That's 314-866-8886.
To learn more about permanent lifetime final expense insurance coverage.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for immediate coverage by answering just a few health questions.
Call or text 314-866-8886. Or learn more at memorialplans.com. That's memorialplans.com.
Policies underwritten by Senior Life Insurance Company, not available in all states.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
We're speaking with Sari Singer, the survivor of a suicide bombing on a Jerusalem bus back in 2003.
I had no control over what happened to me that day, but what I do have control over is how I live my life going forward. And I want to live that life showing love and kindness, the opposite of what that day was all about. I don't hate anybody. I think that the world is filled with good people and not so good people.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
If you're 19 or older with certain underlying medical conditions such as asthma or diabetes, you can get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia, a potentially serious bacterial lung disease that can disrupt your life for weeks. If you're 65 or older, it is also recommended you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. No matter the season, talk to your doctor about vaccination today and learn more at lung.org/protect yourself. A message from the American Lung Association in collaboration with Pfizer.
Furnished by the American Lung Association.
Major phone carriers make you sign contracts with rigid data plans to trap you into a kind of forced phonogamy. Sounds pretty insecure if you ask me. At Consumer Cellular, we believe in a more consensual and healthy form of phonogamy, free of contracts and more flexible to your data needs. This way, you stick around not because we force you to with contracts and fees, but because you love our phone plans. Like ardently love our phone plans. Phonogamously. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
I really like all the things you're saying.
News, analysis, opinion.
Thank you very, very much.
News Talk STL.
Good morning, St. Louis. It's Ben Shapiro. I'll talk to you tonight at 11. But right now,
Back to the Mike Ferguson Show on the new conservative voice of St. Louis, 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
All of a sudden, I want some pizza.
It's
Pantera.
That's right, Pantera, and Gabe was actually just talking about one of the pizza places around where because we're leaving downtown St. Louis after tomorrow. So we are headed to Maryland Heights, our new building. It's not quite fully ready yet, but we'll be broadcasting from there starting on Monday. And, of course, Gabe is like, and there's a pizza place there I want to check out.
Yeah, exactly. I'm always thinking about the food.
But we're just going to be the latest business to leave St. Louis City. All right, more about that later. All right, you and Daryl, Gabe, we're just talking a little bit about that entire Nashville attack on the Christian school there. And, of course, we had a leak of some of the pages of the woman's writings and rantings, and she was obviously, in addition to just plain evil, clearly mentally ill. That's evidenced by her, gender dysphoria and other things that she said. So multiple reports are saying several Nashville police officers are now suspended, not because of anything in the investigation itself, but because those writings leaked out.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so I'll get you those details here in a second. By the way, let's review last night's debate. Did anybody win? Did anybody lose? Did anybody build momentum? I thought it was a fascinating debate. Our good friend Tim Jones going to be with us at 7:35 to give us his take on that as well. I actually did not stick around long enough to hear him and Chris Arps do the post-debate recap, so this will kind of all be new to me because we had to get home and get our beauty sleep,
I did. It's like, man,
and it worked. I'm just
look at me.
Look at you.
I'm glowing.
There you go. Okay, we talked the other day about Steven Crowder of all people ended up with leaked photographs of what appeared to be the first 3 pages, at least 3 pages, of Audrey Hale's writings. And Audrey Hale is the young woman who was pretending and pretending that she was a man, and she used a bunch of pretty common left-wing talking points as far as like white privilege and this kind of stuff when talking about targeting the Christian school there in Nashville back in was that March, I think it was. And now the police department has suspended 7 detectives over the fact that leaked out to Steven Crowder, because people have been asking for months, hey, we know that you have these writings. We know there's information about this. Why isn't this being put out there? Why aren't we finding out? Well, I think now we know why, at least from the first 3 pages. I don't know how many pages there are, but it's basically a notebook.
Yeah, it's a book full
of stuff.
Yeah.
Some people are calling it a manifesto. I don't know if it rises to that level.
I think manifestos are more coherent.
Yeah, exactly. But now you've got the police department suspending detectives. Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell, who's a Democrat, demanding an investigation into the leak of this. So they're upset that we now have more insight into the woman who attacked that Christian school.
Yeah, that tends to be the way, right? Is a lot of people demand answers. They demand transparency. They say no. You don't need transparency. You don't need to know this. There's nothing in it that's gonna that's for you. And then when the information comes out, they're not mad about the problems that we see inherent to the information that we now have. Their problem is, well, you didn't do what I told you to, which is to withhold information and to stay opaque.
Yeah. The fact that so many are being suspended.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
I doubt all 7 of them were in on getting that information to whoever Crowder's source ended up being.
And here's the thing is they haven't even been that upfront about why they're not releasing anything.
No.
Because there are times where they say, listen, there's an active investigation, which there still is.
Sure, but the suspect is gone.
Yeah, there are no more suspects.
Right. Like there's no actual danger of anything other than us learning the truth behind the indoctrination that went into driving this woman over the edge.
Yeah. Everything that they're doing right now leads people to believe that you're trying to hold this down because it is evidence of how dangerous your left-wing narratives can be. Now, whether or not that's the reason or not, I don't know. I'm not going to say for sure. It might be. It might be the fact that they're upset that it's challenging the narrative and it's evidence against the narrative, and it's making victims of, God forbid, conservative Christians. So maybe that's the case. Maybe that's, maybe the conspiracy theorists are right about that. I don't know. But the fact that they're going out of their way to just simply say, no, you can't see it, we're not going to let you see it. And when it does come out, at least a few pages of it that clearly show the pattern, attacking them because of their so-called white privilege, attacking them because, they have money, attacking them because, they're Christian. And so when you take that approach, what else are we supposed to think? And then a conservative talk show host ends up with these photographs of these pages, and police officers, detectives are suspended, and the mayor demanding an investigation into his police force.
Yeah, all this smacks of exactly what you said, Mike, is the, essentially a cover-up. I mean, there is an attempt to feed the narrative one way or the other, either by denying information that dismantles the narrative, or being very open about any information that would feed the narrative. And we see this in the reality of all the school shootings, all the various instances of these that we've seen before. We knew exactly what Dylan Roof wanted to do when he went into that church, right? If they were saying, well, we don't want to release the writings of all shooters, of all these mass murderers, that would be evident in what we've seen before. But it's not. We find out what their motivations are pretty much right away if it feeds the narrative that, let's say, white supremacy is the biggest threat to America, which is the line coming from the White House, right? And the people who are on that side. But when the person doing the killing is doing so based on Marxist thinking or leftist ideology or something adjacent to it, then all of a sudden the information disappears. I haven't heard a peep about various mass murderers who would otherwise have dismantled various aspects of the narrative. The guy who drove through that parade, what was his motivation? Nobody knows. Nobody cares. Actually, it's the headlines removed him from the equation entirely and just said, SUV runs through a parade, right? So the thing is, when you start seeing these patterns, you can't unsee the pattern, and the pattern means something.
And speaking of mass murderers and mass shootings, Michael on YouTube made a comment that there is an indication that these mass shooters have been dealing with a history of antidepressants and pharmaceuticals. And I thought, well, that's interesting. A couple of days ago, I was reading an article, an in-depth study in the Palm Beach Post newspaper that looked back at better than 10 of the mass shooting incidents. I think the article came out in mid-2022. And in every single one of them, there was a medical history with those mass shooters of using antidepressants and other pharmaceuticals. And I thought, well, we're not hearing much about this at all. It's all blaming the narrative of, well, there's the Marxism and everything else. But there seems to be an undercurrent there of pharmaceutical issues.
You know what I want? What I think everybody wants. And if it goes against my narrative, so be it. I want the truth.
Transparency.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
This is a bigger deal than just a local story in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
So why are you upset when part of the actual firsthand source this information got out to the public? I mean, Steven Crowder gave his opinion of it, but I looked at the actual pages themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I want the truth.
Mm-hmm.
If the truth is something I agree with in my narrative, okay. If it's something I disagree with, then I need to adapt to the truth. It's not that hard.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Fall is back in the driver's seat this morning. After climbing into the 80s yesterday afternoon, high temperatures will be about 25 degrees cooler today. We're going to start with some sunshine, but clouds will gradually increase through the day. I'm forecasting a high of about 59 degrees. Mostly cloudy this evening, a shower possible, but that is well to the south of St. Louis. Our low tonight at 42. Friday, sunny, highs in the low 60s, and not much change through the weekend. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
I got an email which brought a smile. A woman named Mary wrote me, "We are purchasing a new roof from John Beal based on your recommendation." I thanked her then. I do it again now. Mary, I only endorse clients I believe in, and I've been a spokesman for John Beal for 10 years. It's all about trust. So if, like Mary, you need John Beal, trust me. Call 1-800-NEW-ROOF. 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
Purdue Chicken says it has a great, clever way to combat all the criticism about chicken production. Sell humans practically the same food it feeds the chickens. That's right. They will call it Chix Mix. Say it's a new snack made from most of the same ingredients in the company Chicken Feed, which is a mix of grains, primarily corn, soybeans, some vitamins, minerals, and so forth. And Chix Mix will be similar. Corn, wheat puffs, edamame, maybe a dash of barbecue spices that you might prefer. All of this is supposedly going to make a great idea for Chix Mix will become maybe not a revenue driver for the 103-year-old company, but it will show that we're looking forward to new ways, and it might create enough interest you'll want it. Now, I've lived by a motto. If someone says it tastes like chicken, but it ain't chicken, then I don't eat it. But then again, on this, the Chix Mix, if they're telling you later they're putting in bits of chocolate, my first question about the Chix Mix, this is chicken feed, now bits of chocolate. Would that be chicken droppings, or am I way off base?
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
This is Christina Straight with Straight Realty reminding you why pay more than 4. In 2003, we had a dream to start a real estate company that would revolutionize the real estate market. Now, 20 years later, after navigating through the many markets' ups and downs, we know exactly how to help you in this challenging time. I'm Christina Straight, owner Straight Realty. Don't give away your hard-earned equity. Give us a call today, 314-441-4444, 314-441-all-4s. And remember, why pay more than 4?
Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
Seavers JCB in St. Peters carries a full line of JCB construction equipment to get the job done safer, faster, and better. JCB compact and large excavators are designed to excel where it matters most: comfort, controllability, reliability, serviceability, and performance. Seavers JCB also stocks a large assortment of attachments for smooth and seamless productivity. Check out all JCB has to offer at Seavers JCB in St. Peters and in select Seavers equipment locations in Illinois or at SeaversJCB.com.
Hello, I am State Treasurer Vivek Malik. There is a program in my office that allows you to save for your loved one's education. The Most 529 program helps families save for K-12, college, trade, or technical schools. Contributions to most 529 accounts grow tax-free and are eligible for a state tax deduction of up to $16,000. Celebrate this holiday season by giving to your child's education. Learn more at MissouriMost.org. Sponsored by the Missouri State Treasurer's Office.
This is what's happening.
Israel and Palestinians equally deserve to live in safety, dignity, and peace.
The number one threat is Hezbollah.
The border's wide open. 101.9 and 94.1.
We're going to pay for Biden's border failures for a long time.
News Talk STL.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Tune in to us at 8 p.m. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
All right, I had a blast at the debate last night.
It was fun.
And the thing was, we were going to have a blast no matter what.
Yeah, regardless of whether it was a good debate or a bad one, we were ready.
And I thought it turned out to be a good debate.
I think so too.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody was won over from one candidate to another or anything like that. I don't know. And of course, Gabe and I had to leave before the wrap up and everything happened with Chris Arps and Tim Jones. But thumbs up or thumbs down on last night's debate? I give it a thumbs up overall. There were moments that that I would kind of cringed at, but you're supposed to, and things like that.
Yes.
And I'm going to ask a bigger question here in a minute as well. Was it good or was it bad for the GOP?
Ooh.
So now we're joined by afternoon host extraordinaire, former Missouri Speaker of the House, Tim Jones. And Tim, I missed your assessment because we did the pregame, you did the postgame to it. I've got sound bites ready, so if something comes up, I can go to several of these sound bites I'm available. But let me start with that question. When you look at the overall debate, before we get into the candidates themselves, good or bad for the party, the way that these candidates presented themselves and presented their platforms, and by extension, much of the Republican platform?
Well, good morning, Mike and Gabe and Stell. I also enjoyed the debate last night. And first of all, big shout out to Americans for Prosperity and the St. Louis Young Republicans for being our co-hosts and co-sponsors and driving lots of News Talk STL Nation to the venue. Great venue. Thank you so much to Westport Playhouse. I love the newly remodeled and open Westport Playhouse. And now that we're going to be basically next door neighbors, I imagine we're going to be haunting that place much more often. So I thought overall a pretty solid debate. As you just said, nothing that, I mean, I don't think anything's going to move the needle much. I mean, look, until someone makes some sort of a surge towards Donald Trump's massive lead in Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina, we're talking 30, 40, 50-point leads. I mean, the media can try to gin up this contest as much as it wants by saying, oh, Nikki Haley surged out of the last poll, or Vivek Ramaswamy is gaining ground. It's like, okay, you pick 3 or 4 percentage points up and Donald Trump's still leading by 35. So that's just an observation. Now, on the whole, I like to look around the social media landscape, as much of a cesspit as it is. That was a new word I learned this week about Twitter. It's a cesspit. I like that.
Yes,
so.
yes.
And I'm in it every day with my hip waders on. So I only saw, so of course this is where I get all my unscientific studies. I only saw a couple complaints about the format, and I thought the complaints were valid, but yet not overwhelming to the extent where it affected my judgment on it. A couple of people said, "Oh, this wasn't a debate. This was just a Sunday morning panel talk show." I'm like, okay. That's kind of what it was. I mean, you basically had 3 people on there, and that's generally what they do in their lives. Lester Holt, what's her face, Russian collusion lady, according to Vivek Ramaswamy, and
Kristen Welker.
Kristen Welker, yeah,
and Hugh Hewitt,
not memorable,
yeah,
and then Hugh Hewitt, of course, the great Hugh Hewitt. Nice that they let one conservative on the panel. Nice that they let one Republican-leaning person in for a Republican debate. That's my only complaint. Now, the format, I liked it because we got long-form answers from 5 candidates. I thought we got a lot more substance. I thought we got a lot of more significant comments. I thought there was an opportunity to zing your opponent every once in a while, and that was entertaining as well. I mean, the crowd at Westport Playhouse, guys, it was very much like a Rocky Horror Picture Show, sound of music, Mystery Science Theater 3000 kind of atmosphere, right? We were cheering and jeering at the screen. We were applauding, but the sound system in there is so incredible that we heard every single word of that debate. It was a great night as far as our radio station goes. As far as the Republican Party goes, okay, maybe third time was the charm. I thought the first 2 debates were just nothing more than giant rugby scrums where nobody really knew who had the ball. And I thought this one, the candidates were a little more, pardon my French, a little more naked on the stage, right? I mean, there was nowhere to hide, right? There were only 5 of you up there. And when it was your turn and that light came on, you better rose to the occasion. And unfortunately, I thought it was the Vivek and Nikki Haley show last night.
Tim, actually, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the other things that happened there, because as much traction as that sort of competition got, and I kind of agree with Mike. I think Vivek might have a little crush on Nikki. He keeps pulling her pigtails on stage.
I tweeted out, I'm like, I'm starting to think Vivek has a crush on Nikki.
But as much as that kind of seems to have stolen the show, there was a little bit of a dust-up between Nikki and Ron DeSantis, in that they were kind of having arguments about each other's records in their governance, which I thought was a very different sort of thing that you saw on that stage. But there didn't seem to be that much came out of it. Not many people are talking about it. What did you make of that particular exchange?
Yeah, so, again, I kept waiting, as we've been waiting for the last 2 debates. The third time around, we're waiting for Ron DeSantis to sort of break out of that shell, Gabe, you'll know this reference, turned from the normal, everyday, happy warrior into He-Man, where's the transformation, and again, exactly. I think Ron DeSantis is an excellent governor. Look, I'm not going to take that away from him. I was Speaker of the House, but I haven't been governor yet. Maybe someday. But, I'm not going to take that away from him. On the other hand, as we've talked about often, it is a big leap from being a governor or a U.S. senator or a congressman or a national leader in business and industry to become president of the United States, right? It's only happened 46 times in our nation's entire history. That is a role that that combines a unique skill set. And you nowadays, in 2023 especially, you have to fill the big screens, right? Whether those screens are being held in the palm of your hand or whether you're watching it on a giant big screen at Westport Playhouse, you have to fill that national stage. And I think the word that I finally come up with to describe Ron DeSantis when he's on the national stage in a national televised audience, he seems flat to me. He seems flat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm waiting for him to grab me, and he's not. Now, whether you like them or not, and I could give you pros and cons on each one of these candidates, but I'm just talking about the it factor of being able to grab a national audience. Vivek Ramaswamy has that it factor to me. Nikki Haley has that it factor to me. Chris Christie, as much as I can't stand the big load up on the stage, the big bus up on the stage, I will say this. You know, back in the day, I was a fan of Chris Christie, and I thought he had that it factor, and it shone through a little bit last night. He had some good lines. He had some good rhetoric. He had some good reportage, but on the whole, I think he's yesterday's news, and I don't expect him to drag this out much longer.
Okay, this is Tim Jones that you're hearing right now. Tim, let me ask you this, because, and I haven't made I haven't picked who I'm going to, support at the caucuses or anything like that. But I've made it no secret. I like Ron DeSantis. I like some of the others, but when you look at, Ron DeSantis, and I agree, I think he was flat. I think he's been flat in all of these. He's made it a point to not mix it up any more than he has to in some of these. But how important is the debate to the overall campaign? Because we political junkies, we love picking apart this stuff right here, and it is important to it, but it's not the only part of a campaign. It's there's so much else to the campaign. What role do you think the debates are having for these particular candidates as part of the overall campaign?
So, you're right. The debates are not going to make a candidacy necessarily, but I think they can break a candidacy for sure. We've seen that many times in the past where come on, we still remember the moments, right? Yeah. Marco Rubio picking up the glass of water, right, and taking the big giant drink, and Rick Perry saying, I've got these three things, and only getting through number two, and turned out later we learned he was hopped up on painkillers. Right, poor guy.
Just had a back surgery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but we didn't know that at the time. It was like, what is wrong with Rick Perry? And so those debate performances, can definitely break a candidacy, right? I think they can move the needle on a candidacy, but
do we lose him?
To have some degree of a base. Well, you guys
we
still there?
We got you back.
You guys still there?
Back.
Yeah, you were breaking up for a second.
We heard that it can move the needle a little bit. Then you cut out for a second.
Yeah, I think, though, you have to start with a base, and then the debates can move that base into an ever-enlarging base. And let's be honest about this, guys. DeSantis definitely has a base. But if you look back at the polling for the last 3 or 4 weeks, he hasn't moved out of he's stuck at like 14 to 15%, right? He hasn't. We've had 3 debates now, and Ron DeSantis is still at 15%. He's been between 15 and 18% for this entire race. The Iowa caucuses are 2 months away. So again, a great governor. I have a ton of family and friends in Florida, and they love him, and I think for good reason. And he was a great counterbalance to Joe Biden's COVID tyranny. But for whatever reason, he's not breaking through in a major way on the national stage. And I'm just looking at the numbers this morning on Real Clear Politics. So this is the average. Donald Trump is leading 47-17 in Iowa. So that's Ron DeSantis, 30 points behind. The lead is even greater in New Hampshire with Trump 46 over Nikki Haley's 14. And you just keep going down the list, and it looks like most of these folks are auditioning for either vice president or a cabinet position.
Tim, we know the RNC is going to try to shoehorn another debate in somewhere between now and Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's. They're going to try to throw something in the middle of there where everybody's busy. But who do you think is going to drop out before then, if anybody?
I would guess maybe Chris Christie, unless the Democrats who all hate Trump and the Rhino Republicans keep him up on that stage, because I think that's what's going on here. I think I think Chris Christie's campaign is fueled by Democrats, the media, the left, and probably the never Trumpers, because I'm so confused. I think maybe Mike or one of you guys was wondering, like, how is he up there in the first place still when you've had, it was Tony Colombo talking about this the other day. How in the world is Chris Christie on the stage, but Mike Pence, the former vice president, is not? There's some oddities going on there. I would imagine if they raise the bar enough, then he drops out, and maybe even Ramaswamy, So you know what? I'm going to say maybe Tim Scott.
See,
so
that would be my guess. Yeah.
So maybe you end up with DeSantis, Haley, Ramaswamy, and that happens to be what the lineup is in the national polling, which national polling doesn't mean squat except for maybe these debates, right? But if you get down to 3, the problem here, Gabe, you just touched on something. They're going to have to wedge this in around Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and everyone being off of work and school for a significant period of time. I don't think anyone's going to watch the 4th debate because at that point, people are thinking, what's the point?
Real quick on Christie, I found it very interesting. The first time he showed up on screen, everybody booed, me included. But the thing is, once he started getting going on his questions, answering the questions, we all kind of silently accepted it because he was actually saying interesting things. It's kind of funny with Christie. He's a mixed bag.
He's a good debater. He's a former attorney general, I believe, of New Jersey, and then he was governor. Mm-hmm. So he knows how to mix it up, and he's an East Coast brawler, a little bit Trumpish, right? He was kind of Trump before Trump. But I liked Chris Christie last night more than the ones in the previous debates because he did focus a little bit more on public policy and less on just trashing the elephant that wasn't in the room.
Yeah. All right, Tim Jones, you can hear him every afternoon right here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock, along with Chris Arps. I'm going to guess there's a chance that the debate may come up this afternoon, too.
Yes, and we'll be speaking with the one and only Dakota Wood as well to get an update on all things international, foreign affairs, and Israel-Hamas related.
All right, sounds good. Tim, appreciate you being on, man.
Thanks, Tim.
All right, 314-912-1019. Okay, here's a question I'm going to bring up next.
Mm-hmm. Momentum, yes.
Tim mentioned momentum.
Mm-hmm.
So let's ask. We'll go around the room, maybe rapid fire. So who has momentum? Who stalled? Who benefited? Who didn't? Got some thoughts on that? I'm going to watch the Rumble chat box, but talk to me. 314-912-1019. Gabe and Stell are looking at the other social media as well, so we'll get your thoughts as well right here. 119 94.1 News Talk STL.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
Bring your family to the 4th Annual Moolah Festival of Trees to experience a winter wonderland with over 40 exquisitely decorated Christmas trees with amazing gift packages November 19th through 26th at the Moolah Shrine. Purchase raffle tickets for just $1 for a chance to take home one or more of these creative and beautifully designed trees, including the gifts, which include toys, tools, sports items, kayaks, barbecue pits, gift cards, and even a complete HVAC system for your home. Tree values range from $500 to over $12,000. The Festival of Trees is an exciting Christmas event for all ages. You can take a souvenir photo with Santa Claus to capture a memory of the spirit of Christmas. And be sure to visit Santa's Cafe for some refreshing treats. Adult admission is $2. Kids 12 and under are free at the Moolah Shrine Center at 12545 Fifi Road. Details at moolah.org.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, I want to follow up with what Tim was just saying about the momentum in the race.
Because momentum is very important.
Yeah, that's what's crucial. And we remember we haven't had a single vote cast.
Yeah.
In the primary. So Donald Trump was essentially persona non grata at the debate last night. He just got referenced a couple of times.
Yeah, that opening question I think was about him.
That was about it, and then there was a couple other references a little bit later on to some other issues.
Mm-hmm.
But you've also got the reality of what the polls say, at least.
Mm-hmm.
So where was the momentum? So we'll kind of go around the room here in just a minute. It's 7:54, so we got a few minutes to go through all of that. At 8:05, St. Louis County is getting sued by some business owners who are saying, hey, you're not letting me sell a legal product when the guy 1,001 feet away can sell the legal product. You're devaluing my business for basically feel good it's for the children. That's what they're basically saying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious what you think about that.
Yeah.
All right, 7:55 right now. Okay, momentum, not momentum. Did anybody, I'll just go around the room. This time I'll start with Gabe and then Stell. Did anybody build momentum for their campaign last night?
I think Nikki's momentum is going to continue.
Okay.
Nikki Haley's momentum is going to continue. I think Tim Scott might have stalled. He might have stalled out. He might be stalling out. And then as far as Christie goes, I think whoever was going to vote for Christie has already voiced their opinion via the polls, and I think he's not picking up any more people. So he's stalled out, I think, by necessity just because of who he is.
I'll mention, just as an aside, Trump had an event in Hialeah, Florida last night, which I thought was interesting. Okay, you're kind of in the same area.
Mm-hmm.
Regarding the debate, to be honest with you, momentum-wise, I thought both Nikki and Vivek really gave themselves a shot in the arm.
Mm-hmm.
They're on opposite ends of the spectrum on quite a few issues. And I think that may be an advantage to keeping some interest in there regarding both of them. And I agree with you, Gabe, that sadly I think Tim may be in the rearview mirror, and Chris Christie should be totally out of the picture. I wish Larry Elder were there, but that's just my own.
We actually had somebody ask about Larry Elder last night at the thing, and Doug Burgum as well. Yeah, I think that's why Vivek Ramaswamy keeps going after Nikki Haley in particular. Clearly, part of his strategy is to go after Nikki Haley. For some reason, he wants to do that. I think, again, Nikki Haley, and I mentioned this to my wife last night. She said, how'd it go? Because she has something else going on at her church. And I said, the thing with Nikki Haley is that I think more and more people were looking at her and saying, I can picture her being president, and I think she'd be competent.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that I think she's accomplishing what she wants to accomplish with these debates, whether or not she picks up polling points or whatever. I'm actually not as worried about polling points as a lot of other people are right now. But I think I agree. I think she added to her momentum. Momentum is going to be, like a moving rock. It's going to be slow. It's going to be hard to do. But once you get it, it's going to keep going. I hate to say this, and Stella, I agree. I hate to say this. I think that we've seen the best of Tim Scott.
Yep.
I think that everybody likes him, but I don't think anybody is looking at him as a viable candidate at this point.
Yeah, and that's a great observation you made, Stella, about the juxtaposition, keeping those two candidates interesting that we're talking about, Nikki Haley and Vivek Ramaswamy. Yeah, I think that's a big part of it.
But by Tim Scott's books, they're very, very well done.
Yeah, exactly.
And very interesting as well. I really like those.
Tim Jones here to announce that Professional Irrigation Systems is now Pro Outdoor. The change reflects their commitment to the innovation of the industry, expansion of services they offer that our family has used for years. Lawn fertilization, landscape maintenance, outdoor lighting, of course, irrigation. Their commitment to their customers remains the highest priority. Same team, same awesome equipment, same quality of service you've come to know and love. To learn more about their services, including fall specials, call them 636-565-0196 or anytime 24/7 at ProOutdoor.com. That's ProOutdoor.com.
We're talking with our great friends, Rob and Kathy Connor from Connor Roofing. What about these storms that hit us all the time? What's going on with that in the roofs?
We haven't seen a storm season like this in years. Trees are falling on people's houses. We've never seen this much. It's just crazy.
I'm not getting on the ladder. I'm afraid of heights. That's why I trust you guys.
And Vic, if you see roofing companies at your neighbors' houses, give us a call, because if they have storm damage, it's possible that you do as well at 314-375-7475.
Or ConnorRoofing.com. That's CONNER roofing.com.
Get charged up on the truth. Power Punch with Larry Behrens.
Everyone's talking about the $6 billion Joe Biden sent to Iran just about a month ago. As well they should be. But did you know he has opened up the money flow to Tehran for well over a year? He doesn't want to talk about it, but we will.
Power Punch with Larry Behrens. Saturday afternoons at 4 on News Talk STL.
Get more Power Punch at powertofuture.com.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour at townhall.com. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. At debate number 3 for the GOP presidential candidates last night in Miami, former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie said Donald Trump cannot be both a presidential candidate and a criminal defendant.
And I'll say this about Donald Trump. Anybody who's going to be spending the next year and a half of their life focusing on keeping themselves out of jail and courtrooms cannot lead this party or this country, and it needs to be said plainly.
Nikki Haley said at the debate airing on NBC that she spoke with Israel's prime minister about the war with Hamas.
The first thing I said to him when it happened was, I said, finish them. Finish them.
And Haley said that she is the best one to lead the country forward in a new generation. And she says that former President Trump was good during his time, but is no longer the best candidate. The real question coming out of that debate, though, did any candidate do enough to convince the voters that they should catch former President Trump?
Former President Trump remains far ahead in the polls, leading his Republican rivals by double digits. The previous 2 debates, which Trump skipped, didn't alter the candidate's standing much. And now we'll see if anyone makes a move following the debate here in Miami as either a serious challenger to Trump or a clear alternative.
This White House correspondent Greg Cluxton. As fighting continues between Israeli soldiers and Hamas terrorists in Gaza City, thousands have arrived in the south of Gaza after an exhausting journey.
This journey is really miserable. There is no access for cars or any sort of transportation, so the people have to walk. I saw a father who's carrying his son over his shoulder in the heat of the sun. It's unusual weather here in Gaza in November, and it's really about 30 degrees. But yes, people under the sun were walking, carrying their kids, some of their belongings if they can.
That is BBC's Rushdie Abalouf. More from townhall.com.
Harry, God has chosen you to have a son.
The greatest story ever told is now an epic Christmas musical for the whole family.
I won the mother found. You are in danger, Mary.
Starring Fiona Paloma, Milo Manheim, Lecrae, Joel Smallbone, and Academy Award nominee Antonio Banderas.
This child, what is his name?
Jesus.
Journey to Bethlehem. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. In theaters everywhere this Friday. Soundtrack also available. Get tickets now at journeytobethlehem.com.
Hi, Rhett Rasmussen of BestHotGrill.com. Step up your grilling game with our Solaire portable infrared grills. Our compact everywhere is a favorite of RVers and trailer pullers. Solaire infrared provides the quick sear for bar marks and texture needed to properly finish sous vide. Use a portable alongside your larger conventional grill to create an instant sear sear zone, and more juicy and flavorful food. Learn more at besthotgrill.com. Affordable, powerful, portable infrared grills at Best Hot Grill.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Fall is back in the driver's seat this morning. After climbing into the 80s yesterday afternoon, high temperatures will be about 25 degrees cooler today. We're going to start with some sunshine, but clouds will gradually increase through the day. I'm forecasting a high of about 59 degrees. Mostly cloudy this evening, a shower possible, but that is well to the south of St. Louis. Our low tonight at 42. Friday, sunny, highs in the low 60s, and not much change through the weekend. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hi, Sean Long for STL FenceWorks. STL FenceWorks is proud and excited to install American-made aluminum and vinyl fence products, as well as American-made decking. For instance, STL FenceWorks has teamed up with Jareth Manufacturing. Jareth invented the aluminum fence industry over 50 years ago. The Jareth product is wholly sourced and manufactured in the U.S., and STL FenceWorks is the third largest Jareth customer in the world. STL FenceWorks is vinyl fencing also, and not just white. We partner with National Vinyl Products to provide you with tan, clay, gray, and variegated wood grain vinyl fence products too, all made in the U.S. Not to be forgotten, STL FenceWorks is maintenance-free decking. STL FenceWorks is the #1 distributor of Wolf Cellular PVC in the Midwest, proudly manufactured in the U.S. and voted #1 maintenance-free decking product in the United States. Let STL FenceWorks make your outdoor space magical. Visit STLFenceWorks.com today and learn how we can make your backyard dreams into a reality. At STL FenceWorks, your satisfaction is our passion.
Mike Ferguson.
Are you pretending to be crazy?
Gabe Pfeiffer.
There's something serious I have to tell you about the future.
Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
Hey, will you guys knock it off?
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! This is your cousin
I'm loving this discussion in the Rumble chat box right now. And Stell, you were just saying we've got a lot going on in Facebook comments as well, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Okay. The debate, for something that a lot of people want to poo-poo is just, inconsequential. That's what the country's talking about right now. I mean, I'm scanning all the national news sources, everything, and it's organically what people are talking about right now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so we're going to get to that back in just a little bit here. I got a news roundup for you around 8:20. Of course, we're going to hear from some of the candidates as well. It is 8:05 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got Stel Ponticus here. Especially in the news roundup, I'm going to tell you about something like pretty cool that's happening literally right now in Lake St. Louis. Let me just put it to you this way. If you're in Lake St. Louis, no, there is no massive crime scene or terrorist activity happening in Lake St. Louis. That's not happening right now. Regardless of what you're seeing right now, there is no massive crime scene. Just okay.
Right.
Leave it at.
Yeah.
How's that for a tease? I'll tell you the rest of that
Okay.
around 8:20 or so.
All right.
Okay, this is interesting. There was some news coverage of this when the law went into effect a few years ago, but now there was, an amendment to the law in St. Louis County regarding. I think it's a role of government question. It's a for the children, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really a role of government. So here's what's going on in St. Louis County. Back in 2019, there was a law passed that said if you have a gas station or convenience store, you're not allowed to sell tobacco products if you are within 1,000 feet of a school. Okay. If you are 1,001 feet away from a school, then you can sell tobacco products.
Right.
Now, I don't know if anybody's noticed, but convenience stores rely on selling tobacco products and booze and other stuff for their profit margins.
Yes.
In addition to Snickers and fountain drinks and whatever else.
Right.
So there was an amendment earlier this year because originally that law, as I understand it, originally that law said if you own that business and you were selling tobacco before it passed, because of ex post facto laws and constitutional precedent, you were grandfathered in. But if you went to sell that business, you wanted to retire, sell it to your family, sell it to your son, sell it as, whatever, then the new owner was not grandfathered in and your business was not allowed to sell tobacco products. Well, that devalued the business.
Yeah.
So if I own this business, and is valued at $2 million. I'm just pulling numbers out of the air. And Gabe wants to buy this from me, and I'm grandfathered in because I can sell smokes. I can sell these. But that you're not going to be allowed to, then suddenly my $2 million business may be worth $1 million.
Right, and because that valuation is based on how much profit I can make every year, right? And there's a little number you do. It's like, okay, this profit,
right.
Blah, blah, blah. So if I say, well, here, you give me your statements like, here's the profit that I'm making, and I say no, break it down so I see how much you're making on
each
product, and I have to cut out, I don't know how much of the business these things make up, but let's say 10%. Yeah. Let's say 10% of your takes is from smokes and other paraphernalia that go along with it. I'm not valuing that at $2 million. Like, give it a 20% discount and we'll talk.
So would you say break it down or break it down?
Well, it depends on how I'm feeling that day.
Right. Because you're not going to say, well, I can't sell the cigarettes, so I'll just sell more Twinkies.
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
You can't replace those.
No,
yeah,
you can't
exactly.
do it.
Yep.
Okay, so earlier this year, there was an amendment that barely passed 4-3 in the St. Louis County Council that said, okay, if I'm grandfathered in and you're going to buy it from me, then fine, you can be grandfathered in as well.
Okay. All right.
But the argument is that, hey, it's within 1,000 feet of a school. We want to keep these products away from kids.
Right. That's how all this started.
It's for the children.
Yeah.
Okay. So now there's a lawsuit against the county that says, you know what? You're allowing some businesses to sell a legal product, and you're not allowing other businesses to sell a legal product. And essentially, it's just feel good. It's for the children stuff.
Right. Nonsense.
Yeah, I think it kind of, because I think it's a role of government question here.
Yeah. I mean, from the perspective of the business owner, it seems like nonsense. Like, why is it at 1,000 feet it's a no-go, and at 1,001 feet what if I'm looking to build a new business across the street from the old business, but now I'm hampered because I can't sell the same product that he gets to sell.
Okay, let me just ask the question that I know is going to irritate somebody. Why is it's for the children, I want to feel good and protect the children from being around a product they're not allowed to buy in the first place? Why is that more important than the needs of the business owner? So what I'm saying is, for those who are saying, but it's for the kids, we don't want them tempted. Why is that more important than an entrepreneur or a business owner or a franchisee making money and paying the taxes that go with it? Okay, so I'll just put it out there. Why are we choosing what makes us feel good about protecting kids? I don't think it actually protects kids, but let's just say, you feel that way. You feel strongly about it. It feels good. Why is that more important than having a pro-business and a business-friendly environment? Is it because it's not a glamorous business? Is it because some of these places are a little bit sketchy?
Wow, it's a good question, because I think it kind of speaks to how these things tend to be sold, especially by the politicians that are behind them. You get it's easy to pull out a kid. But everybody loves kids, right? Everybody wants to protect kids. That's inherent to our DNA, basically. Protect children. At least those of us who are well adjusted to society.
I remember. I'm sorry.
No, but I mean, just so it's easy to make the argument. It's like, well, this kid is here and is going to have a problem because of X, Y, and Z, and you make your case. But then a business guy comes in and is like, oh, look at this fat cat. He's just gonna, you know what I mean? It's easy to demonize one side and
care about profit.
And then you point to the angelic little kid with the dimples, and you're like, okay, what am I gonna do?
Okay, so the kids aren't allowed to buy it anyway.
Yeah, where
they are, and the fact matters, I don't know if some government officials know this. But we don't take horses and buggies to school. I mean, 1,000 feet it's 3 football fields. I mean,
it's a long way.
It's a long way that they've got a big buffer zone on this. I remember years and years ago talking to the church I used to go to, but pastor there, he said, yeah, it was interesting because it was in an area that was clearly going to be developed, and some city planners and stuff, they approached him and they said, hey, would you have any objection if a business that sold alcohol went in at this plot? And because there are these buffer zones out there, and churches are among those. And he goes, well, what are you talking about? Basically they were saying, well, it's a convenience store. He's like, I don't care.
Right.
You know, that's not a big deal. He goes, if you want to put a strip club that sells booze, I'm going to have some heartburn over it.
Right.
You know, he said, but those are, we protect certain areas, and sometimes there's a case for it. And in this case, I think the trade-off is bad government. It's feel-good legislation, but it's bad government, and then because I think it's too big of government. I mean, we had the discussion a few weeks ago about the dispensary buying the old, was it an old
Jimmy
Jimmy
John's.
John's? Down in South City. Well, it's right across the street from a public charter school.
Right.
And the charter school is really mad about this, and the city is saying, we got a vacant building that's not producing anything and is attracting crime, and you've got a legal business that wants to go in and build up a business. And so
the kids can't buy it anyway.
And the kids can't buy it anyway. And they're not even allowed in the building. And so they decided that was a better trade-off to let the business be a business and be business friendly for once in St. Louis City. And I think that was the right move in that case.
Yeah.
Now, St. Louis is not business friendly enough. Hey, tomorrow's our last day broadcasting out of downtown St. Louis. We're leaving the city in large part because of how business unfriendly it is, not to mention the crime issues and everything like that. So these things matter. And so when you look at something like a convenience store, it's not like people are going to rush and picket to protest and protect a convenience store.
Right.
You know, Quick Trips are nice, some others not so much, but they're still business owners. They're still making a living. And to say that because you are here, you're not allowed to be as profitable because we say so is, to me, just bad government.
You know, here's another aspect to it, and you mentioned Quick Trip. There's a different level between, let's say, a convenience store, of which we've seen so many of them growing up. I remember when I was a kid, you would have a small corner convenience store close to a school. But now you've got convenience stores, as you mentioned with Quick Trip. They're associated with a major company. You've got Love's and
Pilot.
Wally's and Buc-ee's. You've got these major outlets that are gasoline oriented, or they are fuel oriented. But like you said, Gabe, their main income is coming from the ancillary stuff that's sold.
Yeah.
And still, it's a really tight margin for these companies. And I'm wondering if maybe some folks are thinking, okay, convenience store, it's the little guy out there. He doesn't have gas pumps or anything. He's just selling milk and bread and everything else, and cigarettes and liquor might be also part of his repertoire inside the store. So maybe we need to give them a little bit of a break as opposed to the big guys who were selling fuel plus the other stuff on the side. So, okay, I guess maybe there's a little different edge to the argument that I hadn't really thought of till just now.
I don't know. I think really the only difference between the convenience store owner and the gas
big guy?
the gas station owner and a convenience store owner. You know, it's like the only difference is that the gas is an attraction to customers. That's the only it's like, because people always will have to stop for gas. So while you're stopped, you might as well pop in and grab a hot dog and a pack of smokes or whatever.
Because they literally make like a nickel a gallon or something
if
like
that. Their margins are so the thing is, for a regular convenience store, they're largely their margin, their main source is what they sell inside, and it's the same thing for the gas station. So the gas pumps outside, I don't think, to me, make that big of a difference, except that it's those things are a very expensive outlay to begin with, by the way, as a regular attraction for customers.
I just get very nervous when we've got government that says we're going to pick and choose who's allowed to be profitable and to what degree.
Yeah.
And in this case, it's really arbitrary. This number of feet from any school, okay? And so that, to me, is just bad policy. These kids aren't allowed to walk into Quickie Mart and say, give me a pack of Marlboros or whatever they're selling now,
right.
Or vapes or whatever it is. They're not allowed to buy it anyway. They
Right.
can walk in and buy a ding dong. They can walk in and buy a Suzy Q chocolate thing. They can walk in and buy a donut. None of that's healthy for you as well. They can walk in and buy condoms. They can walk in and buy other stuff. But but because you have that offered to everybody else, and it's too close, we're not going to allow you to do that. And I just think it's bad big government policies, and I think that we should not be saying that these business owners are less than other parts of a community, even though there are some convenience stores out there that I'm like, I'm not going in there. That looks really skeezy in there, man.
Sketchy as all get out.
Yeah.
And besides, you have an age limit on tobacco and liquor.
Yeah, so the kids can't buy those things anyway. So why is it such a big deal?
Yeah. You agree, you disagree? Let me know. 314-912-1019. I really understand why it feels good to have that law and to defend that law. I understand why it feels good. I just don't think these businesses should be penalized for where they are if they're selling a legal product. I just think, again, I think it's more about the government than it is about the tobacco, to be really honest. And it's more about the government than it is about the kids. I know somebody's going to really not.
You're such a libertarian.
I know. Somebody's not going to like that.
You bum.
314-912-1019. All right, just ahead, I'm going to tell you why Lake St. Louis should not be panicking. There is not a massive terrorist activity happening right now. It's not happening. I'll tell you what's going on.
Oh, okay.
This is great.
Okay.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
What is a wow diamond? Wow diamonds are named for their brilliance. Newstetter's Fine Jewelers carries wow diamonds. Our team at Newstetter's Fine Jewelers will show customers how the cut of the diamond impacts the brilliance of the diamond.
Newstetter's Fine Jewelers for Wow Diamonds are located at 2961 Doherty Ferry Road. That's at Big Bend and Doherty Ferry, and online at wowdiamonds.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Somebody stole it and we're stealing it back.
Someone needs to answer the door. I'm on the phone.
Lou, you okay, buddy?
I'm sorry.
Somebody needs to answer the door. I'm on the phone.
Will you answer that door for Lou, please?
Keep it down. It's okay.
I can't believe this happened at that exact moment.
Of course it does. That's what we call timing.
Vic Porcelli, live and local weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. Doug and Safe Money Radio is on 3 times every weekend, but in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com or call 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
This Saturday night at 10 on Stories of New Americans.
I'm joined by Ali Dorhan from Turkey. If you have 2 cars in Turkey, you would consider it very wealthy person. And here, when I heard about my friends, they have 2 cars. How come? You're a teacher and you have 2 cars. And then it didn't make sense to me.
Stories of New Americans. Saturday nights at 10 on News Talk STL.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL, live and local.
Listen to what those local folks are telling you.
News Talk STL.
Hello, morning people. Tony Colombo and Katie Fitzpatrick here.
Thanks for listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL. And don't forget to join us today at 2 for Colombo and Katie.
See you then.
Man, it's a hot one. Like 7 inches from the midday sun.
All right, that third debate now in the books. I thought it was interesting. We still have time to get your thoughts in on this. We're getting some on social media. We'll go through those. But 314-912-1019. Also, could a deal for a pause in the Israel versus Hamas fighting be close? It is possible. And the Blues are hoping to reset and get back in the win column tonight. 8:21 right now. Got Gabe here, got Stell here. I'm Mike. All right, at the third GOP presidential debate, the candidates really went into a wide range of policy issues, domestic and foreign. I thought the debate was really interesting. Here's Greg Cluxton's review from townhall.com.
The candidates stood strong with Israel, including Ron DeSantis.
Finish the job once and for all with these butchers, Hamas.
Chris Christie took aim at TikTok, saying it represents a threat from China.
TikTok is not only spyware, it is polluting the minds of American young people.
On abortion, Nikki Haley said it's time to face political reality.
Let's find consensus.
But Tim Scott held firm in his support of a nationwide 15-week abortion ban. Greg Clugston at the GOP debate in Miami.
Okay, at 8:35, I've got some of the highlights from that, including Vivek Ramaswamy's pretty much an epic rant. Whether you support him or somebody else, he led off that thing throwing a haymaker, and it landed.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so I've got that one because everybody was talking about that this morning. So we'll hear it. And if you got some thoughts, who's got momentum and not, let's do that around 8:35. Okay, get this. A lawsuit to force Missouri taxpayers to fund Planned Parenthood being heard by the state Supreme Court. There was a hearing on this yesterday. Planned Parenthood is suing because state lawmakers did not allocate any money for them. They specifically said no money for Planned Parenthood. The left-wing abortion group says they should get at least funding to reimburse them for things like birth control distribution, STD, STI testing, and other non-abortion procedures. Their argument, Gabe, is basically, hey, other clinics and hospitals and organizations are able to get into this program to get reimbursed for this. We should too. You singled us out. And lawmakers are like, yeah, we did.
Yes, because you're a butchery shop, and that's your primary business. And because funds are fungible, it doesn't matter what we reimburse you for. We know that it's going to support the murder and dismemberment of children.
Yeah, indirectly, if nothing else.
Exactly. So, yeah, it's
precisely.
Like just because you can recommend some place to get a mammogram, just like any Google, application ever, doesn't mean you are a provider for women's health care in terms of cancer.
And everything else that they were talking about there, that they're saying, hey, we need to be you can go to the urgent care minute clinic and get the exact same things.
Yeah.
So this is not a medical facility.
No, not at
se.
all.
I mean, do they have doctors there? Yes. And there are some things they do that are not abortion related, but they're primary based on their own tax dollars going back, tax returns year after year after year after year. They are in the abortion business, and they've got a couple of point-of-sale things that you can buy at the checkout counter, but they are an abortion business is what they are.
Yeah, it's like having a gigantic demon put on a very small fleece mask and say, I'm a sheep.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
So the biggest argument that they're making is that, hey, you're discriminating against us, but Attorney General Andrew Bailey's lawyers are actually doing, I think, a very good job from what I'm reading here. They're pointing out, they're like, you can have the debate over whether Planned Parenthood should get money or not. That's fine. But they're saying it's the legislature's job under the state constitution to decide who and what gets funded and who and what does not. You don't have a right to come in and order the legislature to do their job in the way you want them to do. They are tasked with making those decisions. And so it'll be interesting to see what the Missouri Supreme Court says. The Missouri Supreme Court is farther to the left than the people of Missouri are.
Right,
It's just, this is one of the bad results of the so-called Missouri plan for selecting justices on here. Okay, let's see here. A U.S. drone been shot down over international water. This happened off the coast of Yemen, and it was shot down by the Houthis, which is an Iranian-backed group, and drones are said to be targeting an air base with U.S. forces in Iraq. And so Senate Intelligence Committee Chairman Mark Warner, he's a Democrat out of Virginia, was on Fox News' Your World with Neil Cavuto with his reaction.
We have been worried for some time that Iranian proxies in the region, whether it be the Houthis or whether it be Shia militia groups that receive backing from Iran, may try to go after more of our troops.
Okay, so Iran is obviously the main funder and the backer of Hamas. And reports are now saying, I saw this morning, there could be a deal in the works for a pause in the fighting because the Biden administration has been trying to pressure Israel into pausing the fighting for humanitarian reasons. And here's what the reports are saying they're talking about, Gabe. They say it would be a short, maybe 2 or 3 day pause, and that would allow for the so-called humanitarian aid, including fuel, to go into Gaza.
Come on.
Yeah, and that would happen if Hamas agrees to release a dozen hostages at least. Now, there are a lot more than a dozen hostages at this point, but the pressure is on to do that. So those are the negotiations. I think that it's a bad idea, and the fact that the U.S. is trying to pressure Israel into any pause when they are making such massive progress in defeating and eliminating Hamas, I think is a really, really bad move. And I think it further legitimizes Hamas into something that it's not. This is not a political entity.
Right, that you negotiate with and everything. And now, I suppose an argument could be made that trying to use that as leverage to get hostages back is a valid use of that idea. I'm still on the side of destroy them and deal with it later. I mean, because swift action is what's called for here. You use every bit of momentum you can gain from a military perspective to destroy your enemy, force them to either submit to unconditionally surrender or be destroyed. And after the fact, after it's all done, you deal with the aftermath, just like we did in World War II. That was the last time we actually won a war decisively. I think every time we've tried to veer off of those sort of models, it's gone very, very badly.
Man, you touched on it right there, because I was going to say we have no right to be telling Israel how to handle this, considering we've lost every war since World War II.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's not as though we're experts on all of this anymore. Sorry to say, it doesn't look like we are.
We did get a stalemate in North Korea.
Or at least didn't win.
Yeah, we didn't win. Yeah.
Or at least didn't win.
We got a stalemate in North Korea. That was the last time we actually came close to winning.
Yeah. You could argue
that was a truce, and they had signed an armistice.
Yeah.
So actually, the thing is still
it's still technically going.
It's still technically a war going on.
Yeah, and in the Middle East, you could argue maybe that was a tie at the end, but we did not achieve our goals.
No, we did not achieve our goals.
For all intents and purposes, we did not win that war.
No,
at all.
No, yeah.
At all. Okay, don't freak out if you're in Lake St. Louis this morning. Okay, people, don't freak out. All right, here's what's going on.
Okay, what is going on?
There is no terrorist activity or crime emergency. It's okay. So all those flashing lights, all that tape that's up. Okay, relax.
What is happening?
Relax. Have I teased this up enough?
Oh my gosh, I am so curious what's going on.
I saw this on Lake St. Louis Police Department's Twitter last night.
Okay.
So here's what's going on. Lake St. Louis Police, they let us know that they are doing a training exercise at the old Bank of America building.
Okay.
The one on Civic Center Drive, which Bank of America is not there anymore. It's just an empty bank building at this point. So that started about an hour ago, and that's going to continue until noon.
Okay.
So it's a lot of role playing. It's a lot of just, live action training. So it looks like sort of an action movie scene, or it looks like a crime scene, or both.
Yeah.
There's SWAT team activity there.
Oh, wow.
They've got the crisis negotiation team on there. They've got drones there.
Right.
Lots of guns, lots of stuff. And matter of fact, there's that Schnucks next door to it right there. Part of the Schnucks parking lot is probably by now taped off with caution tape. So if you're driving into like Schnucks or you're driving by there, you're like, what in the world is going on?
So that's an active Schnucks, right?
Right.
Right next to what looks like a massive terrorist,
or
situation, hostage situation.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get my bread and milk later.
Yeah. So it's cool. It's fine. It's fine.
I'm heading to Dearborn.
They're just doing training exercises.
Okay. It's just a training exercise.
But it looks really cool. If you're out there, somebody send me a picture. That's gonna be awesome. I actually used to live in a small town somewhere where if there were a house that was abandoned long enough and they could get legal custody, they would set it on fire.
Oh, as a training exercise.
In order to do real life training for the fire department.
Yeah.
And
right.
so
everybody would come out and watch.
Right. I actually I actually know a guy who by profession is an actor.
Okay.
And one of the things he makes his money on, because acting jobs are few and far between for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Most actors don't make squat. They're making your coffee at the coffee shop.
Yes.
That's why they're all waiters and waitresses.
Right.
It's a hobby.
But one of the things he has a steady income from is he gets hired with this other group to go in and do role play to help train law enforcement.
Okay.
So they're like, okay, here's your character. It's a mentally ill person. These are the things you're doing, And so they are like crisis actors for police. And so I don't know if any of these are out there. Mike may be out there for all I know. But that's what's going on. But I'm sure it looks really cool.
That sounds fun.
All right, the Blues wrap up their homestand tonight. Arizona in town for a 7 p.m. game. Blues are 5-5-1 on the season. So hopefully they can get back above 500 here tonight. I'm not gonna say it's been an okay season. I'm seeing moments of potential, seeing moments of oh crap, but I'm seeing it could go either way at this point.
It's still way early.
Yes.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Fall is back in the driver's seat this morning. After climbing into the 80s yesterday afternoon, high temperatures will be about 25 degrees cooler today. We're going to start with some sunshine, but clouds will gradually increase through the day. I'm forecasting a high of about 59 degrees. Mostly cloudy this evening, a shower possible, but that is well to the south of St. Louis. Our low tonight at 42. Friday, sunny, highs in the low 60s, and not much change through the weekend. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Fox News commentary.
The polls aren't looking good for Joe Biden, but I caution Trump supporters from getting too excited. I'm Tommy Lahren. I'll tell you why next.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Approval rating is lower than any incumbent seeking re-election at this point in the race since Jimmy Carter in 1979. Even left-leaning media polls indicate that the overwhelming majority of Americans believe the country is headed in the wrong direction. Even a New York Times Siena poll has Trump leading Joe in 5 of 6 swing states. But here's the kicker. That same poll shows a generic Democrat beating Trump by 8 points. It also shows that a Trump conviction would leave Trump with a very narrow pathway to victory. So if Democrats run someone other than Joe, we're in trouble. Even if they run Sleepy Joe and Trump is convicted, we are in trouble. Now imagine if they run someone other than Joe and Trump is convicted. We have a snowball's chance in hell. So as much as you might want Trump and you love Trump, this loyalty to Trump and only Trump is a risky, risky bet. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show Tommy Lahren is Fearless at Outkick.com.
Well, it's fall, y'all. Time to give Hanson's Tree Service a call this fall. 636-379-1830. 24/7, always available at hansonstree.com. Fall is the perfect time to spruce up and beautify your landscape beds with that fantastic organic mulch in bulk from Hanson's. What else should you do? How about clear out all the overhanging trees, get rid of all the old stumps, generally clean up the homestead as we head towards Old Man Winter. They're standing by to help you today. 636-379-1830 or 24/7, always available at hansonstree.com, hansonstree.com.
Is your family prepared for the financial burden of losing a loved one?
Are you aware of the cost of a funeral?
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for lifetime permanent final expense insurance coverage with no medical exam required.
Just answer a few health questions, and once accepted, your rates never increase.
Do you have diabetes? High blood pressure?
Have you had a heart attack? A stroke?
No problem.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial can help protect your legacy.
Call or text 314-866-8886. That's 314-866-8886.
To learn more about permanent lifetime final expense insurance coverage.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for immediate coverage by answering just a few health questions.
Call or text 314-866-8886 or learn more at memorialplans.com. That's memorialplans.com.
Policies underwritten by Senior Life Insurance Company, not available in all states.
The news and talk that affects St. Louis.
They've made a mistake of historic proportions. We will exact a price that will be remembered for decades to come.
This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me for the Right Mind Show on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this wacky radio station. You know, and speaking of wacky, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Scott, we just had somebody call in say there are some signs up around the Lake St. Louis police training thing. So there are some signs, so it's okay to drive in there and go to Schnucks and all that kind of stuff if you want. Just be aware there's not an active crime scene.
Yeah, Mike called in and said he drove his daughter to school, drove by there and said it's not something that'll overwhelm you at all where you get terrified. He said, yeah, you'll be okay driving in.
Yeah, now they're going until noon, so I don't know what they're going to do to amp up before lunchtime, but you know, we'll see. But still, it sounds cool, man.
I want to watch.
I know.
But I got to work.
Like bring in the SWAT team and stuff. All right. 8:37 here. Okay, so the debate last night. What were your takeaways? Let me know. 314-912-1019. I've got a number of these sound clips I'm going to play. Some of those people are really talking about a couple of Vivek Ramaswamy's. I'm not going to say zingers because that implies a very short little gotcha.
Yeah.
He went on a couple of just absolute tirades.
Yes.
Controlled tirades.
Yeah. That initial one, I think somebody described as a savage beatdown.
I'm going to play that too because that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were times in the debate, and I'm just going to admit, there were times later in that debate that I really found him irritating.
Yes.
But he made good points in other areas, so I think he both had really good moments. I think he had a couple of bad moments as
Tony
well.
Colombo had the best analogy
Yes.
here.
Because I was on with Tony and Katie and Vic last night, and Tony, I think, put it really, really well. He said Vivek Ramaswamy last night was a lot like Mark McGuire back in the day. Okay, so what he said was he swung for the fences every time. When he connected, he knocked it out of the park. But when he missed, he basically spun himself into the batter's box like a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Right, exactly.
And I think that's accurate. I think that's what he did because he started off one of maybe the first question.
I think it was.
I think it was the first question, and you're going to hear just the very tail end of Lester Holt asking that question. Not only did he knock it out of the park, everybody who supported every other candidate on there was in agreement with him going off. Not just on the media, but on the RNC's leadership as well. My jaw kind of dropped on the floor. I'm like, oh, this is what we're doing tonight for this debate. Here's Vivek Ramaswamy here.
Why should you be the nominee and not the former president?
I think there's something deeper going on in the Republican Party here, and I am upset about what happened last night. We've become a party of losers at the end of the day. It was a cancer in the Republican establishment. Let's speak the truth. I mean, since Ronna McDaniel took over as chairwoman of the RNC in 2017, we have lost 2018, 2020, 2022, no red wave that never came. We got trounced last night in 2023. And I think that we have to have accountability in our party. For that matter, Ron, if you want to come on stage tonight, you want to look the GOP voters in the eye and tell them you resign, I will yield my time to you. And frankly, look, the people there cheering for losing in the Republican Party. Think about who's moderating this debate. This should be Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk. We'd have 10 times the viewership, asking questions that GOP primary voters actually care about and bringing more people into our party. You think the Democrats, and we've got Kristen Welker here, you think the Democrats would actually hire Greg Gutfeld to host a Democratic debate? They wouldn't do it. And so the fact of the matter is, Kristen, I'm going to use this time because this is actually about you in the media and the corrupt media establishment. Ask you, the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that you pushed on this network for years, was that real or was that Hillary Clinton made up disinformation? Answer the question. Go.
Mr. Ross.
Sorry. This is how we get our country back. We need accountability because this media rigged the 2016 election. They rigged the 2020 election with the Hunter Biden laptop story.
Mr. Ramaswamy,
and they're going to rig this election.
Your time is up.
Accountability.
Okay.
Woo!
And that was right off the bat.
I think he checked off most of the boxes.
Yeah. It's like, oh, yeah, and you want some too? And he hit that person, and it's like, oh, and another thing, and he hit somebody else. He absolute savage. It's like, I don't know. It was some guy running through with a club, just beating the mess out of everybody.
Here's the thing with I saw somebody tweet out because Vivek, like I said, I am glad that Vivek Ramaswamy has been in this campaign. He's obviously going to be in it for a little bit longer. I don't know how much more upward mobility he's got in this campaign. But I saw somebody tweet out, and I don't remember who it was, so I apologize to whoever put it out there. I can't give you proper credit because I just don't remember who put it. But they said, boy, Vivek Ramaswamy would be an excellent RNC chairman.
And you told me that. I said, oh, wow. I hadn't even thought of that. And, well, hey, maybe a CEO is required to run that organization so that it actually meets its metrics, which is winning elections.
Right.
Yeah, and Paul on Facebook would agree with you. His comment was that RNC is disconnected and dysfunctional.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
I'd say yes on both accounts.
Right. And I've been complaining about the way that the RNC, not so much like, for instance, the rules of the debate last night, each candidate had more time to answer questions. And as much as it kind of pains me to say this, I thought the moderators did a good job.
They actually did. I was pleasantly surprised with how fair the questions were. We didn't get much in the way of the false premise question.
Right.
Here's my
bit.
speech. Here's my speechifying setup for why you guys are horrible. Now explain yourself. Situation. It's like we didn't get that, which was helpful for the most part.
For the most part.
On the one question, we got the false idea about pumping oil isn't going to change gas prices tomorrow. And Tim Scott, that was actually one of Tim Scott's good moments where he said, actually, yeah, let me tell you how it works. Yeah. And he's completely dismantled him, which was great. But for the most part, they were okay. And I'm fine with that.
Kristen Welker's still a hack.
Well, yes.
Lester Holt's still left wing, left-leaning bias, not maybe left wing, but left-leaning.
Leaning.
Yeah, leaning. Like I said, Kristen Welker, she's accomplished, but she's a hack.
Yes.
But I got to give credit where credit's due, and I know I'm not supposed to do that in conservative media, but I'm just going to call the balls and strikes. They actually did a pretty good job, and they didn't let any one candidate tell them how things were going to go. When somebody would say, no, I'm going to respond to that, they went, no, you're not. We're moving on to the next one here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the way they ran it was very well. And I think the rules helped that because whatever rules that they were given ahead of time, it was different than either of the first two.
Right. Now, so in that sense, I liked how this debate was run. I still have a massive ethical problem with the RNC vetting out candidates before the voters have a chance to decide that for themselves.
That's true.
I think Doug Burgum would have actually added something very interesting to that debate last night, but he was vetted out because they are looking at where the fundraising and where the polling numbers are. And remember, polling numbers are essentially crap right now. Don't forget that. But they're looking at where that is, and they're saying, okay, we're going to set a standard here, knowing that it's vetting some people out. And Doug Burgum, with his first debate performance, he had people going, whoa, I want to know more about that guy.
Who's this guy? Yeah. I think he would have added a little bit more connection to constitutional responsibility, which is one of those aspects of conservatism and republicanism that I think sometimes falls by the wayside when we're trying to get stuff done. So he would have been a great voice. Larry Elder would have been an incredible voice to add to that discussion, especially as it pertains to sort of the social ills that are underpinning a lot of the ideological ills that are kind of coming through in our politics right now.
And really, that comes down to the sore point that I think all of us feel about the way elections are run. These candidates are chosen. And essentially, we're seeing whoever the party wants to choose as opposed to people getting to choose who they would like to see.
Yeah.
And all we have to do is go back to even on the Democratic side, what happened to Bernie Sanders? All of a sudden, he disappeared last time around. And it seems as though it's on both sides of the aisle, and it's a serious issue that somehow we've got to get around it. And just to switch here really quick, as you guys mentioned about the moderators, from the beginning, when I heard Lester Holt, and I grew up with him in Chicago, I thought, I wonder how this is going to go. He seems to be okay here at the beginning. And I kept hanging in there because I was waiting for him to get off course, and he never really did. I thought he handled himself pretty well.
Yeah. It was amazing.
I'm going to give credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
That was solid.
The other thing is apparently my understanding is that sometime today, the RNC and Ronna McDaniel are going to make an announcement about a fourth presidential debate.
Yeah, the one that's crammed in among everything. Yeah, nobody's going to watch this thing.
Somewhere in December.
Nobody's going to watch this thing.
And they're increasing the requirements to get into this one as well.
Threshold higher.
Right,
obviously.
threshold higher, which means they're trying to vet somebody out.
Yes.
As well. And it's just not their job to do that at all. It's manipulating it. And remember, not a single vote has been cast. Not a single caucus pitch has been made. Not one has been done at this point, but the RNC has taken it upon themselves to try to whittle the field down. And if they just wanted to set the threshold for the RNC debates, fine, but they're demanding that all of the candidates who want to be in those debates, which you have to be, that they agree to all of their rules, which include you're not allowed to debate outside of what we sanction, and that's manipulating the process. So shame on the RNC once again. Once again, we're showing why Ronna McDaniel is a terrible choice to lead the RNC.
Yeah, absolutely. And that suggestion that Ramaswamy could make a better that's actually a solid argument.
Yeah. I would love to see that.
That would be interesting.
I would
if nothing
love
else.
to see that. All right, I've got a few more of the sound bites, and then who benefited from this. Listen, the debates are not the end-all be-all for a campaign. They're a part of the campaign.
Right.
But at this point, you've also got the campaign trail, the media interviews, the town hall meetings, the ads, all of that sort of stuff is happening as well. But this is what America's talking about, what St. Louis is talking about right now. 314-912-1019. Got a few minutes left. Want to get your thoughts in as well.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL.
Tell me your troubles and doubts, giving me everything inside and out.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Strange, so real in the dark. Think of the tender things that we were working on.
School choice is an idea whose time has come. It's flourishing in many states, just not in Missouri. Take charter schools, a great alternative for parents whose kids may be trapped in a failing school district. But charter schools are currently only available to families in just 3 of 520 school districts: Kansas City, the city of St. Louis, and Normandy. Open enrollment allows students to enroll in a district other than the one in which they live. It's important because rural schools may not offer all the advanced classes larger districts do. Open enrollment does exist in Missouri, but participation is highly restricted. And the Empowerment Scholarship Account, or ESA program, needs to be expanded so many more parents of students with disabilities and low-income students can access it. Charter schools, open enrollment, ESAs. If they're good for some children, they should be good for all children. Check out our 2023 blueprint, Moving Missouri Forward, at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. I love to grill and definitely prefer using charcoal over gas. And ever since I met Jonathan Heslop and he introduced me to his product, Rockwood Lump Charcoal, I can't use anything else. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory and has been the nationally highest consumer-ranked charcoal for several years. So you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. Doesn't get any better than that. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
Facts don't matter. Lies don't matter. You or I lie, we go to jail. She lies.
Mark McCloskey on fire.
You know, it's just part of the business. President lies, it's part of his business. Joe Biden couldn't tell the truth if he could remember it. And then you got Hunter Biden, you know, because he's a drug addict, because he's a gun criminal, because, you know, posts pictures of himself with hookers and crack pipes and all that kind of stuff. Now that makes him somehow wonderful.
Mark McCloskey on fire. Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
It's Thursday at 425. Dakota Wood from the Heritage Foundation.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Hey there, Tim Jones here. Make sure you join me and my buddy Chris Arps this afternoon from 4 until 6 p.m. right here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Right now, let's get back to more of Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I've been working so hard. I'm punching my card.
I love this song from the Footloose soundtrack.
It's classic.
Kenny Loggins. Okay, but why is it that, first of all, this takes me back to high school.
Yeah.
All right, with this.
We got to do the little kick bounce move.
I was
to
going to
the
say,
song.
why is it that it makes me want to do bad white people dancing?
Or any dancing at all, considering it's Footloose.
I mean, you got to do something like, you know, just sway and snap your arm. I mean, I hate dance. I'm a terrible dancer, but this, like, fits me being a terrible dancer.
I think the last time I saw somebody actually dancing to this song was I was watching Dancing with the Stars with my wife. Because she likes Dancing with the Stars. And yeah, so the hoppy kick move thing is kind of, this was a quick step song, so yeah.
All right, 314-912-1019. All right, so there's no way I'm going to get through all of the sound bites I've got from last night's debate. But by the way, I want to once again, because Vic Porcelli's taking over here in about 12 minutes or 13 minutes or so, really a big shout out and thank you to Americans for Prosperity, Missouri's chapter, for partnering with us along with the St. Louis County Young Republicans as well. We had a fun, fantastic event.
It was great.
I suspect I actually have not looked at our Facebook page yet today. There's probably some pictures of it up from last night. I know there are some
plenty circulating on Twitter.
Yeah, on our Twitter account or X account, whatever. I still am not going to get used to saying.
I'm going to say Twitter forever.
Yeah, and so there's some great pictures for everybody who came out. Man, it was so much fun. Thank you for so much fun meeting so many people, and really appreciate you being out. We just had some fun with that, man. That was a blast. Westport Playhouse was a great location for that. Of course, we're going to be neighbors with them here starting on Monday because we are once again leaving the city, going to Maryland Heights to set up shop there. So come Monday, the show will be broadcast out of Maryland Heights. All right, let's see here. What do you think? Who should I play? Which soundbite should I play? Because every candidate's looking for their moment in a debate that they can use beyond that debate, and people are going to remember. So, guys, take your pick. I'll play whichever for a soundbite from whichever one you choose.
How about? Well, here's the thing.
Yeah,
this is probably the last we're really going to hear from Tim Scott and and Chris Christie. I don't know if we really need to go into Chris Christie. I don't think he had any shining moments. Tim Scott though did have one or two moments that I think that were okay. I think he got some applause lines and things like that.
If there were a Tim Scott moment, it was early on. I think it would have been this one. What they were talking about is the anti-Semitism that's just running rampant in the United States right now, particularly on college and university campuses. So here was his early reaction to that.
Let me just say to every single university president in America, federal funding is a privilege, not a right. Number one. Number two, to every student who've come to our country on a visa to a college campus, your visa is a privilege, not a right. Number three, any campus that allows for anti-Semitism and hate, to allow students to encourage terrorism, mass murder, and genocide, you should lose your federal funding today, period. To all the students on visas who are encouraging Jewish genocide, I would deport you from those campuses. We have to stand strong with our Jewish Americans. At the end of the day, we should not have our Jewish students in a library being told to hide. On our streets in New York, a Jewish citizen has the right to walk on the streets of America with no fear.
Well, yeah, all of those things were correct, and he got the applause, especially the privilege, not a right thing. That's a big deal to us.
That was really strong, and I think one of the things that shows. Listen, Tim Scott is really one of probably the smarter politicians out there.
Yes,
but he's clunky,
very clunky.
He's not a smooth, polished speaker. That really came through. It is not a reflection on his grasp of the issues. This guy understands policy. He's very proactive. He's been a very good United States Senator. Honestly, I think he'd be a good president or vice president, but he just doesn't have that influence or entertainment factor that you have to have. I don't know that Tim Scott's place as a leading contender is at least among the alternative to Trump race. I don't know that he's got that much left in it at this point.
He would have been good for a different era, like basically in the radio era when you could just do prepared remarks once a week, and otherwise we don't see him doing the actual governing, and we don't have daily press briefings, and we don't see him every day on video doing one thing or another. The way it is today. If he was back in the day, I think people were like, "Oh wow, that Tim Scott, he's a smart guy." I think
we go to a movie theater and see a newsreel
out of him, exactly,
and he would show up on there and do a radio address once a week.
President Tim Scott came through today.
Blues Nut on Rumble says Vivek for chairman, Elder for VP.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The one thing on Elder, I think I would like him to build more cred in terms of actual functioning in within those circles in government. VP might be a stretch for him. I would love to see him as the White House spokesperson.
Which one? Who? Elder?
Elder.
Oh,
Larry
Elder.
Elder?
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing: is I want Elder's voice to continue to be amplified. I mean, he's got his national radio presence. He is terrible at social media.
Yeah,
he sucks at social media.
Yeah, I was expecting a lot more out of him.
Yeah, well, I mean, part of that is the RNC.
Mm-hmm.
I think he, in the first debate, when there was a decent debate that first time around, I think that he could have made quite a splash. And that would have provided him an opportunity for some momentum. But Larry Elder is a voice that has, there's a reason he's been an important voice in the conservative movement for so long.
Yeah. And I think we are at a detriment for not having his voice added and his perspective and some of the particular issues that are his bugaboos, because they are important to understanding where we are coming from the conservative Republican side.
Yeah, we actually had somebody at Westport Playhouse last night. One of the first comments, we were having this interactive thing, and they said, "Why isn't Larry Elder there?" And I'm like, darn good question,
right?
Dude.
And everybody in the room said, yeah.
One thing he loves to focus on is the lack of fathers in the black community.
Yep. Family formation is a really big deal in America right now.
And how the government has disincentivized it.
Mhm.
That this
Absolutely.
is an entirely predictable result. All right. Vic Porcelli coming your way just ahead. There's a chance he may talk about the debate in his perspective as well.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe.
Ackerman Toyota has the 2024 models. You're going to be impressed. Check them out in person at Ackerman Toyota, Hampton and Interstate 44. In fact, you've got to see the 2024 Toyota Sequoia. Very impressive. This is the time to buy and get top dollar for your vehicle. Looking for pre-owned? Ackerman Toyota can also help you. Ackerman Toyota at Hampton and 44. AckermanToyota.com. Ackerman Toyota for life.